Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Heinz Report. I go by the name of Dr. Heinz, and thank you so much for tuning onto this channel. If you are just returning, welcome again. Thanks. Thanks for being here once more. We are going to be bringing you updates in regards to the Jonathan Majors case because, as you have seen from the report, most likely there have been loads and loads of things coming out, from the taxi driver to the friend's testimony, and we're gonna do it right today with a special guest. I love her with all my heart. It goes by the name of Dani Does Law on Twitter, but her real name Danielle Atherton. So thank you so much for joining me once again, Dani. How are you doing?
I am good, and I am even better as of yesterday because as I posted, it was Defense Day.
Yeah.
Man, you could not have the jokes wrote themselves. I mean, you could not have scripted a better day for Jonathan Majors and all those who support him. The prosecution, it was rough for them. Every witness that they thought would corroborate Grace's story absolutely did not. And it was sad to see because I'm like, you don't know. And then the crazy thing is the defense always asks, when was the last time you spoke to the DA? Or is it true that you spoke to the DA on this day? So I'm
Right.
like, you spoke to these witnesses before they got here.
Right.
And they still did not say what you thought they would say, or
That doesn't
they didn't anticipate what the defense was going to come at them with. And I think that probably was the main cause of all the confusion and the answers not matching what they thought they would match. But that driver was the star of the show, boy. He was he was the star of the show.
I mean, that's insane. Sorry, go on. Yeah,
go ahead. It was fun. I mean, I'm literally still laughing to this day. I brought my daughter with me this week, and at least once a day, once every couple of hours, I just start laughing. I'm like, oh my God, remember when he said just funny. He was funny. He was funny without even trying. That was the thing.
That's what really bugs me, because how did the prosecution not interview these people before the case? Because I was thinking, if you're going to pursue this case this hard, then at least, how do I say, make the effort to make sure that everyone that you have lined up are, worth putting in front of the jury.
But that's the gag. They did speak to him on Sunday with the interpreter. On Sunday, they met with him with his interpreter because that was a matter of issue before they even brought the jury in. The defense was complaining that they spoke to him Sunday and then didn't tell the defense until Monday morning at 9:07. Give me one quick second. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
No, you're fine. So while we're doing that, I will just for everyone in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. Because I'm very happy to have everyone here. I'm gonna read out some of the chats. I'm gonna pick out just a general rule of thumb. You can also support the channel and send your super chats, and then they'll be highlighted on screen. In regards to you, Nina, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. She says, can you ask Dani what vibe she gets from the jury? Of course. I will ask her everything. The super chats is for the Q&A. So if you do have questions specifically for Dani, you can write that down away. Anything, doesn't matter if it's one pence or £1 million. I'm never gonna get £1 million. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, but
To the jury this time because I know a lot of people have been asking that. Like I said, I've said it prior. I peek at them, but I try not to stare at them because I'm sitting with the family or in the vicinity of the family, so they don't know who I am. So I don't want
right,
them to think that I'm one of the family members like staring them, and trying to intimidate them or whatever. So I try to glance when opportunity presents itself.
right,
Like if
right,
I
right,
know they're looking away, I'll glance at them just to see the vibe.
right, right.
I can say for a fact because how when you and I and Kat spoke on Saturday, she said there's a simp on the jury. Okay, well we have a simpette on the jury because
Oh,
I
there's a sim-
noticed today. Yes, I noticed it more today than other days. Oh, she's in love with Mr. Zuckerman. So
who's Mr. Zuckerman?
the
Enlighten me.
defense. The
Oh,
defense, the man attorney, because you got Priya
oh,
and then
so
you got
oh, so oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay, oh, okay. Got you.
Oh
Go
man,
ahead, go ahead.
one of the jurors fell asleep on the psychiatry lady or the social worker lady, completely fell asleep. And
Right.
then the simpette, I mean, she's nice. I'm calling her simpette because we call the other guy a simp. But she does the same Google eye routine with Zuckerman. When
Right.
he got up there, her eyes lit up. She started smiling, even laughed at something he said, and I was like, okay. But I did notice in general they have. I could be reading it wrong, but I'm
Right.
rarely wrong when I read people.
Yeah.
I noticed from day one of Cross on Jabbari that they
Oh,
seemed to favor the defense because when they started doing their cross on Jabbari, it was about 10 minutes before our normal lunch break. And
right.
so Priya was like, well, it's almost lunchtime. Should we just recess and then come back? Or do
Right.
you want, do you want me to continue? So the judge asked the jury, he was like, do you guys want to recess or continue? They unanimously was like, yes, we want to stay.
Right.
We want to continue. So to me, that gave me the impression that either they were really curious to hear how they were going to tear Grace down, or they favored hearing what the defense had to say. And based on what I've seen, since it seems like they light up or perk up or pay more attention when
Right.
it's the defense. Um, and like I said, I noticed it even more today, especially because most of us fell asleep during that direct on the social worker. And then, as soon as it was time for cross, everybody perked back up. And like I said, that the girl, she's smiling and keep, cheesing and looking at him. And I'm like, okay, girl. Just make
Oh,
sure
wow.
you give our boy an acquittal then, because you are the foreperson.
Well,
So
I'm gonna do a quick recap. Of this case for those that may not have understood the background and the lead up to the trial now. But before I do that, I'm gonna say thank you so much, Nina, for your $2 super chat. I really do appreciate you for that. Thank you, ever, Nina. I'm going to ask you a lot more questions in regards to the vibes of the jury. But and before I go into that recap, though, I really must ask in regards to this, in regards to this this DV expert, what did you make of her? How do I say it? Performance, so to speak. I mean, you've already told us in regards to the jury, they were not switched on, etc. But what was it about her, and what was she doing that made it seem like they were not switched on at all?
She initially seemed like another reluctant witness, but then I came to realize she just has a bad attitude. And that came out more when she was on cross. Oh, she was very snarky and snappy, and I think what made it boring, for lack of a better way to put it, is because she literally, and I tweeted that. I said everything she was saying generations younger than us learn on TikTok. I mean, she wasn't saying anything because, you know, now everything is psychobabble. So everybody's gaslighting. Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's, you know, a sociopath. All these catchphrases are TikTok. Every other TikTok expert is talking about it. So she really wasn't saying anything that and if you've gone to higher education, university, even if you did AP Psych, most of it was everyday, you know, layperson psychology, stuff that you already know. If you've ever been in a domestic violence situation or know people that have, this is stuff that you already know. So she said nothing that people did not already know. So that was part of why it was a snooze fest. Then she turns out that she's a professor of several different social work based classes. So it came across like you were sitting in a lecture. And everybody knows if you take a class at 4 p.m. after you've been working all day,
right.
Out. And that literally was the equivalent of going to work all day and then having to sit in the class for an hour and listen to somebody drone on and on and on about stuff that you don't necessarily, I don't want to say that you don't care about, but it got to that point because nothing she said had anything to do with the case. So that was another reason why no one was really engaged, because being that she was restricted from being specific about certain things, everything she said was so general that it did not connect to what they heard in all the testimony. Nothing she described had anything to do with what Jonathan did, with what Grace did. It was just generic. This is what a victim looks like. This is what a victim does. This is what abuse is. This is what abuse looks like. You know, and Jonathan didn't do any of that. Nobody testified that he did any of that. Even with the suicide thing, she said that, you know, a form of abuse, emotional abuse and manipulation is if you try to leave someone and they threaten suicide.
Right.
Jonathan was trying to get rid of her when he threatened suicide. So that is not what happened here. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like he was trying to say that to keep her. He had already tried to get rid of her at that point.
Right.
So it was nothing was connecting to the issue at hand.
Right.
So that whole direct was just a waste of time. Then of course Zuckerman got up there and he started in on her, but then the judge was like, we gotta go because it was 4:30. But he started in on her and he got her to admit some stuff that didn't make sense. And he was like, well, because she specializes in trauma. That's her background. So she specializes in working with people who have had traumatic experiences, whether it be related to domestic violence, rape, sexual abuse, whatever. Trauma is her thing. So Zuckerman got slick and it was like, well, and it didn't get sustained. It was objected to. He reworded it and then it got allowed. He was like, well, have you dealt with victims that are traumatized from being falsely accused?
That is slick. She
said no. Right, exactly. So that was the line of questioning that he was going with. And so I was rocking with him. And then we were like, we had to go. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go tomorrow because she was copping a lot of attitude with him. And it's unfortunate that he got cut off because now she has time to go home and prep. And get ready for those hard questions. You know what I mean?
Because I was actually thinking Priya was going to do this one, but maybe it is good for because I don't know. I don't know why. If Priya is the more, I don't know anything about the other attorney, so I'm throwing it out here. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, based on what you know, is because I'm thinking if Priya is the more bashful one and the more that would be in your face to do the hard things, you know, that you wouldn't imagine people doing, then he would strike me as like kind of the balancer or the.
You would think it's a good cop, bad cop. No, they're both bad cop.
No, but is he technical? But is he technical? Like, do you think he's technical? Do you think he would like take it back to the book and be like, okay, but you, ma'am, you are a feminist. Do you not see any potential bias?
I don't think he was say it, but I was about to say that because, like I said, all the way up until yesterday. Yesterday was Monday. It was him examining the men, her examining the women. They switched it up this week. I think because that was the first thing I got from her. I got, here we go, toxic feminists. Everybody's a victim except for the actual victim. And we're going to do this. She came up there looking like she...
No such thing as false accusations.
Yeah, she came up on the stand looking like she just finished running errands. She did not look like she wanted to be there. You know, you would think she would have... Because with her credentials, she graduated from Columbia University. So you would think with her credentials, she would have come in a suit or some other professional attire. No, she just had on just a shirt she threw on and some slacks. Hair wasn't even really done. She didn't look, you know, like she necessarily wanted to be there. And at $200 an hour, you need to be looking like you want to be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that she done taxed them for about $600 today, because the way they always sit and have delays, she probably was sitting in the back for a few hours before she even got on the stand. So she made an easy $600 to $800 today, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm like, shit, I can get up there and tell you what abuse looks like. But Zuckerman tried to get her disqualified as an expert witness because he was like, well, do you have a PhD? No. Do you have a medical license? No. And then he was like, Your Honor, I want her to get disqualified from being an expert witness. And of course the judge didn't, you know, because I guess in his mind, he probably was like, no, you're not, because this whole trial needs to end soon. And we're not waiting for them to find another expert. Because there were certain points, and I did make a note of this. Where did I put it? I meant to type it. I meant to
go on. No, take your time.
I meant to tweet it, but I did make a note that there were points where it looked like the judge was torn between deciding, you know, to accommodate the defense, but like almost like he had second thoughts, because it was like, if I do this, it'll extend the time of his trial, or if I do this.
Oh, he really wants to be over this week. He really wants to.
Yeah, because I thought for sure we would be in closing arguments today. So I'm hoping that's tomorrow, because like I said, they only have to, Zuckerman only had 10 minutes left with the social worker, and depends on what he asks, direct should be done. I'm hoping they don't redirect, because she really doesn't have a whole lot to say. Right. Then Priya and Zuckerman said they had a couple of other witnesses, but the way they got through that 4 in the morning, I feel like whatever other witnesses they have, it's going to be a quick 10 minutes apiece on each side, and then they're going to move on. And then hopefully they can get to closing arguments before lunch or right after lunch, and then the jury can start deliberating. I really do not feel like this is going to be a 2-day deliberation. It should only be a couple of hours, because everything is right there. Because, you know, once they start deliberating, they can't leave. So even if it takes till 8 o'clock at night tomorrow, that's how long it's going to take. Right. And, you know, most people don't want to stay that late. So they're going to be like, all right, we need to figure this out by dinner time. And I don't think them coming back in less than 2 or 3 hours is telling of anything other than that the state did not prove their case. There was way too much reasonable doubt. So what are we going to sit here for more than a couple of hours and talk about? You know what I mean? There's really nothing to talk about, because yesterday, if we were looking for a day to win this case, it was yesterday. There were other days, but yesterday was the day. So every witness was a defense witness. So I don't think it should take them more than a couple of hours to deliberate. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, especially given that more than half of them are under the age of 30 or appear to be. And then you got the sleeper and then the 2 simps. So I'm just like, I feel like between the sleeper and the 2 that, you know, are goo-goo-eyed over the defense and the prosecution, it should be an easy decision to make.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be very interesting to see how this goes. And for anyone that hasn't been following this case from the beginning. I have been compiling, the info around this case, and when the arrest happened, the social media reactions as well, because the social media reactions was insane about this. People already had judged the man. When the text messages dropped, it was pretty much kamikaze. They thought, oh my gosh, he's lost his case. That is a clear victim. There is that's a Stockholm syndrome suffering woman saying, I'll take the blame for it. And to be quite fair, without context, in isolation, yes, the text looked bad, but I just peeked at the top of that text and be like, wait, why is he saying leave the keys? Why that was exactly what I thought. And I was like,
goodbye, Grace.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, there's more to this. There's more. Like you don't just say leave the keys, and yet you just beat up this person. It's like leave the keys, goodbye. But everyone was running with it. So many big channels were like, oh, he's done this and that.
But you see how fickle the mainstream media can be? I'm like, I know that you all went to university, so please tell me that you can read to comprehend things, because how do you go from one day? It's just crazy, and that's a big part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I get so sick of them. I'm sure you don't follow American politics, but ever since they let Trump, or I call him the Trumpanzee, in office, it just seems like the legitimacy of the media, the legitimacy of our government just went to hell. So at this point, I trust no one. I'm like, anytime you would let that, and I as you know, I'm born and raised in New York, Harlem, and that's where I am right now. And I said before that, the 3 of the Central Park 5 I actually grew up with, and Trump was one of the main ones calling for the death penalty on them. So Trump has been on every real New Yorker's shit list since the 80s. So I was just confused at how he ended up in the White House. Completely mind blown, knowing that he's a criminal, knowing that, he and his dad were sued for housing discrimination. He's been in the headlines in New York since forever. So just the idea that somebody allowed this man to get into the White House just did it for me. And I mean, I'm gonna get off my soapbox with that, but I'm saying that is what led to my not trusting, media accounts of things, how they spend things, because I'm like, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have got that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there is a lot of distrust, and we got to see it play out in so many other cases. Like for example, Depp v. Heard, and the trickle effects of just the reporting of the entire case after it was done, and I'm like, wait, did we watch the same trial?
Right.
But the same thing happened. Going back to the recap though, in regards to Jonathan Majors, even when he dropped the CCTV, there was only TMZ picked it up. Nowhere else picked it up. So he dropped. So that was, I believe, that was 10th of April, around that time. Around that time, he dropped the actual footage of first it was stills of the body cam, and then the actual footage of the club photos of Grace Jabbari, blah blah, of her doing her normal things. And then Business Insider released this was damning, released more video around Grace. Again, no reporting of it. The only thing that was reported and blown was how Jonathan Majors had multiple accusers.
And that's another thing. So where are those people?
I was literally about to...
You literally just reminded me. I thought about it last week, and then it kind of escaped me because of all the traveling I was doing and these little shows I'm doing with y'all. I forgot about it. I thought about it, and then I forgot about it again. And you just reminded me. What happened to all these accusers? What happened to these people claiming that he was this tyrant on the campus, and all 90% white campus up in Connecticut, which is Racistville, USA? He's up there terrorizing people. One of
and this
probably a
guy's
handful
and
of
this
these
guy
lawyers.
this guy is afraid of the police. By the way, this is the same guy that's afraid of the police, and yet he would do so many things that would put him right
But I'm
that
trying to
into
figure
a deep
out.
sleep.
I'm trying to figure out what subscription with the Illuminati he had. That before he could even become a household name, he was doing all this stuff, and nobody checked him. Nobody stopped him at the door before he could. He's at Yale acting a fool. They didn't kick him out. They didn't write him up. You know what I mean? This broke boy from Dallas, Texas, out here doing all this stuff, and nobody locked him up before the Creed body, before the Harder They Fall, before Lovecraft Country. He was doing all this stuff to all these people, and nobody said anything until he got famous and got with this chick. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay, that makes so much sense.
Illuminati subscription killed.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which payment plan he was on, because clearly you can get it before you even become a celebrity. That you're protected, before you even get your first deal. I'm just like, but yeah, there are no witnesses, because after this expert, that's it for the prosecution. So I'm trying to figure out who all these extra people were.
And for those that don't know as well, the strangulation charge was dropped all the way back in May. This was before I don't want to get it wrong, because there was a hearing to get the case dismissed. So the strangulation charge was even dropped then.
Yeah, it was dropped way. I think it was dropped before
no one knew about it. No one knew about it. The same way that no one knows now that Grace testified that this guy has never been physically abusive to her. And this was this testimony was back in was on the first day of her direct. She was asked a question, and he said she said no. The reason why she had to say no was because they had to try and establish a pattern of abuse based on the evidence that they had.
Right.
To quote a lawyer that I really admire, goes by the name of Adam Woolman. He says, "What the courtroom has no surprise. Everything, the facts has already been established way before we go to trial. It's just now the public gets to see it, but there's no surprises." So her saying no and that not being reported is very key to everything that we are talking about here, because it is it is insane how you are running and first and foremost blasting contextless text out there and suggesting that this guy was hospitalizing this woman, but without that context of her saying no, he was never physically abusive. This guy looks like he was really doing this, and then if I'm saying no, she actually said this, everyone's like, no, you're lying because this guy, this reputable paper told me. So it's a mess. It's a mess, this case, and that little recap. And one little extra info as well in here. She was also the amount of work they had to do to even bring her back into the country, because she left the country for a while.
Yeah.
They literally had to bring her ass back into the country to even have this trial. So it was it's been a roller coaster, and now we're finally here, and I'm glad that everyone is tuned in onto this stream, because it shows that there's a lot of people out there that really do want to see the truth, that really do want to see all sides of the story. Even if you're biased or unbiased or on the fence, you're welcome here, because that's what we do. So if you're liking this so far, share it with your friends. Let people know about this, because we are now about to get into the real details of I'm not sure day 8 in this world, but it's probably day 6 for you guys, isn't it?
I don't even know, man. If we start from jury selection, I think we're at 10, right?
Yeah, it should be 8 and 9. 10 tomorrow, I think. But
Man,
we're gonna go
listen,
through
I have
8
no
and
idea.
9. Day 8 covers the taxi driver's testimony, covers the friend's testimony, if I'm not mistaken, covers I think day 9 is the doctors and all that. So we're gonna start with day 8, and let's talk about that because it is very what happened in day 8. How did that whole thing start off?
No, okay, because I got my days mixed up. So which
Okay.
testimony are you
Oh,
referring
sorry.
to?
Day 8 is Monday. Day 8 is Monday.
This Monday. Oh, yesterday. Oh, the
Yeah.
good day. Okay, got
The
you.
good day. Well, we can start with the bad day. Should we
No, the
we start
good
with tonight? should we start with today then?
Yeah, right. All right, let me get to the first. Hold on, because I got okay. You know, it's probably easier if I go on my own Facebook. Those notes are already transcribed. I actually finished transcribing everything today on the subway because I was like, child, I'm so tired of coming home and doing this till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So let's go back to, we started with, all right, give me a second.
While she's doing that, guys, also if you do want to support the channel, do send through your super chats. They'll be read on screen, and you can also ask your questions this way as well with the super chats. And I appreciate Nina for sending her $2 super chat. I appreciate that question because it was really insightful question in regards to the vibe of the jury for the courtroom today. So I really appreciate that. And if you guys want to support the channel, that would be really amazing to do. You can also send super thanks if you're watching this on replay as well. So yeah.
Okay, so we started out with Chloe, and I call him Billy Badass.
Billy, like,
yeah, because
like,
I'm like, you
what,
really
like Boozy
thought you
Badass?
were gonna approach
Or like
somebody.
Boozy?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have that term in UK, but it basically means somebody that thinks they're tough, and or Matt. I call him Mad Max or Billy Badass. Thinks he's tough. Like, just you see a guy walk past and you just gonna try to run up on him like you was gonna win that fight. Like, who are you? You don't know what's going on. You don't even know if she's the problem, and you just ready to take that L. Yeah, he reminds me of an aged out frat boy because that's how he came up on the stand, looking like he just finished company, like he just came from a keg party. The girlfriend testified first. I don't think they're a couple anymore because when he testified, he referred to them as his friends. Versus, my girlfriend Chloe and our friend Shams, or whatever they call them.
These are the people that were on the CCTV, right?
Yes, they're the ones that were in front of the Lafayette Street building when Grace was chasing Jonathan and she lost him. That's where she ended up stopping. And so then, you see them coming to that whole conversation where she's explaining what happened and he cheated on her and yada, yada, yada. That's these people. So, Chloe got up there. She testified. She didn't seem like she was on anybody's side. She didn't come across as being particularly biased. She basically, came up there. They asked her the questions that they needed to ask her. She answered them. And then when it came time for the cross-examination, even on direct, she did not say anything that helped them because she told them that Grace had his credit card. That Grace told her that she had his credit card. She could not recall how the conversation came up. She said that her and Grace have not contacted each other since that day. So they're not friends because, as you know, Grace was talking about Chloe as if they were still in contact. And Chloe said they have not seen or heard from each other um, since the that night or the next morning. She said she got a text from her, but they never pursued asking her what the text said, which I was confused about because I was like, I would like to know what the text said.
Before you continue, Dani, I just want to really address this commenter right here because the LW Academy Hub for Women says this. I appreciate that you want to defend Jonathan, but you really need to do your research before getting on here and telling people about these apparent facts. First and foremost, I have Dani here is currently in an Airbnb in New York because she is from Tampa, Florida. She has been attending this case from day one, and she has been reporting it as it is. That has to be noted. She has correct me if I'm wrong again, because I have done my background research on you. We didn't really establish it in the previous streams, but now is probably the best time to do it because you used to be a legal analyst, weren't you? Like,
right. So I'm actually from New York City, and I have enough experience with the NYPD to know that they're very corrupt. Born and raised in New York. I'm a New Yorker. I represent everywhere that I've ever lived. I've lived in Atlanta. I currently live in Tampa Bay, but I am a New Yorker. I'm living there for the convenience and the weather, but I'm always a New Yorker. I've been in the courtroom since last Monday. The only day that I missed was last Thursday, and someone was gracious enough by the name of Jimmy to go in because he knew I was going to be out, and he pretty much did the same thing that I do every day, and that is report exactly what I'm hearing and seeing, evidence from the state of New York that is being presented. So as far as doing background information, we don't do Google. We don't Google the greatness over here. We sit in the courtroom and we actually gather intel from the horse's mouth. So anything that Heinz is saying, anything that any of these other YouTubers are saying that I've actually participated on their platform, they're getting it from me, who's been there every single day for the entire duration. From the time that they open that courtroom at between 9:15 and 9:45 until we adjourn between 4 and 4:30 every day. And I even sit there after adjournment to hear any sidebar conversations that are being had between the two sides, because they tend to discuss that a lot before the trial, before the jury comes in, and after the jury leaves. They tend to have conversations relating to evidence and witnesses and things that the jury cannot hear. And so I also make note of that. So as far as, accusing people of not doing research, just know that anything that Heinz has said since last Monday, he probably got it from me or my tweets. So it's not him just talking out of his ass, because we don't do that around here.
No.
Secondly, I have had from a career standpoint and an education standpoint, I've had a legal background for the last 20 years. I've been a litigation paralegal, a legal analyst, contract analyst. I've done a litigation paralegal work at a forensic accounting firm. So done paralegal work dealing with Medicare fraud. So I have a wide breadth of knowledge when it comes to the law and legal proceedings. I also did work at the time when the show existed for HLN After Dark, a CNN sub network. That was about a decade ago, the last time that aired. But I've been doing it for a while. I've been doing it for a minute. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Vic Palatino of Court TV on that as well?
Yes, yeah, Vinny Politan was. Yeah, Vinny Politan was one of the main hosts of that show. And now he does Court TV, which is also in Atlanta, because they closed down a lot of the CNN studio now. So so I'm not some random that's just popped up and decided I wanted to just start getting on all these YouTubes running my mouth. That's not me. That's not me. So not too much over there in that chat section, because
yeah, like so the LW Academy for Women. So just so I just want to I really had to make that clear, because it seems like she's been getting her messages from the mainstream media, and I've been saying in regards to the text messages,
Mhm.
um, this is like, look, look, um, I want to read one here because it's a very interesting thing that I do want to segue into what we're about to talk about next, which is the taxi driver, and this is perfect for it. The He says that the text messages are in direct conflict with everything Jonathan said happened, and confirms that she did have head injuries as a result of the fight. Now, again, I am not picking on you, by the way. Like, I welcome this. I don't want anyone to be horrible to her, and I'm so glad that reading through this chat, no one has, and that is really amazing, because I do want her to express these views, because it gives us a chance to provide the context necessary to have a balanced discussion. So, chat, amazing. Let me get the soundbite up. Yeah, there you go. I'm looking. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear that. It's like a pause, right?
Yeah. So, everyone, I really appreciate, and this is, I really appreciate everyone being civil. But the text messages that you're referring to are text messages from the London pub incident, which I believe you can provide a bit more context to that. Could you please share with everyone what the context behind those text messages, and whether the jury got to understand this context?
Okay, so last week, Grace was on the stand for 3 days last week. Tuesday went. Oh, I think it was more than that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a few minutes
They'll be on
on
Friday.
Friday. Her whole first day of testimony was all direct. And she went through date by date. We started out in the day they met, in I think August of 2021, and we worked through every couple of months until March. And she set the groundwork for everything that was in that text message. Basically, the pub incident, as it's being called, that led to that text message that got released. All that information that was in that text message, with the exception of referring to some type of head injury, was already heard by the jury. She had already mentioned that he threatened suicide, but she put it in the context of him doing it multiple different times, when it turns out that wasn't the case. It was just that one time in that text. She testified about why that text occurred. Apparently, he was filming out in London. If I'm not mistaken, it was Magazine Dreams. She kept referring to it as the movie where he's a bodybuilder. She wouldn't say the name, but he had been filming and training. They moved into this nice house that she described as a house like she's never lived in before. She was so excited that she invited her friend over while he was on set. She gave her a tour of the house. Wherever this house is located, it's in a walkable neighborhood. So she said when they did the tour of the house, they walked to a pub in the neighborhood. She claims that she was tipsy, but we've come to realize that she likes to minimize her behavior. And so tipsy to us is probably pissy drunk for her. But we learned, based on the way she likes to use semantics. Like, for example, you could clearly see her running full speed after Jonathan Majors, and she kept saying she was walking or following him. Walking and following are two different, not the same as running. So now that we know that this is how she minimizes things, I'm highly suspicious that she was actually drunk, but she says she was tipsy. She said that they had more than a few drinks. They got back to the house, and shortly after they arrived at the house, Jonathan got there with his trainer. They worked out. After they worked out, they said they were hungry, so they ordered food. I guess Uber Eats. I don't know what you guys have out there in England.
We have Uber Eats.
Some equivalent of Uber Eats. They ordered food, but Jonathan was agitated by that point because she had come in drunk. The friend was drunk. we did not know until later on that was an issue between them. We're just listening to her testimony, but it comes out later on that she does have a substance abuse issue when it comes to drinking. But at that time, and in the context of that particular testimony, it just seemed as though he was just agitated because she came home tipsy, brought her friend over there. Clearly, you know, I'm the same way. Don't show up at my house. Don't invite people to my house without letting me know, because again, I have to mentally prepare. And by all accounts, by the interviews that Jonathan has given, he's not an extrovert. You know, he's not the type that always wants to be around a lot of people, based on his own words and interviews that I've read. So to come home after a long day of work, then have to do a strenuous workout, and your girlfriend's sitting there sauced up with some chick, you just want to come home and be in your sanctuary, right? You don't want to have to entertain anybody. You don't want to have to talk to anybody. And to boot, you're drinking, and I don't like that, right? So by the time the food comes, I guess he's so agitated that she says that they end up sending the friend and the trainer home with their doggy bag. They didn't even let them stay to eat. I don't know how it went down. I'm sure it was a polite exchange, because obviously they would have come and testified if he would have flew off the handle. But I'm sure it was a polite exchange. It was kind of like, you know what, y'all take your stuff. Jonathan's tired. See y'all later. Right. And so they left. So clearly, you know, they had their little, you know, rip tiff or whatever. That's when she recorded that whole thing with him talking about Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King.
Right.
Obviously out of context, because you only get part of the conversation. And of course, the media took that and ran with it. But clearly in context, he's basically, and again, we still don't know about her drinking problem. This comes out later and is confirmed yesterday by Dr. Chiang, confirmed on paper with a clinical diagnosis. But at this point, we don't know this. We just know that she came home, because she's telling her side of the story, right? She came home tipsy. He got pissed off. He started flying off the handle. You know, he said what he said about basically her acting like she has some sense because he's doing great things. You know, at this point in his career is moving fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
People, you know, he's going to be the next Denzel. You know what I mean? So I need a Pauletta. I don't need a Paris Hilton. You understand what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what you were saying. I need somebody by my side that's poised, that has, you know, respect for themselves, that's not out here getting drunk, because that's obviously not his lifestyle. We found out later she also smokes, you know, and that's why he used those references. And then I see tweets, well, she's not black. Why would he use two black women? Who else he's supposed to use? Barbara Bush? I mean, like, he's using points of reference based on our culture. He doesn't know anything about white, you know what I mean? White, great women who supported their great men. Like, that's not his point of reference. It doesn't matter what the race is. The point is the behavior. And that's the behavior that he wanted somebody representing him to display. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their preference for how they want to be, you know, who they want as their boyfriend, wife, you know, whatever. And you don't want somebody acting ratchet. And that's his complete right. And I'm sure he gave her plenty of chances to get it together, and she did not. So that was the first documented time that he tried to unload her, because according to her, he was throwing her stuff out, throwing it, you know, basically kicking her out of the house.
Right.
Throwing her stuff out, which is what happens in relationships. I'm sure there's probably a few men on your comment section that had their stuff thrown out the front door. So this is not abuse. This is called a toxic relationship that probably should have never happened. But 2020 hindsight, you know, that's just how it goes, right? That's Murphy's law. Huh?
I said hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight is always 2020. You know, if only we could always think in hindsight, everybody's life would be so much easier. But at the end of the day, everybody's had a shitty relationship. he's no exception. Just because he's a celebrity does not make him superhuman, you
Uh,
know?
um. Also, what date was that text?
It was September. Okay, hold on. Oh shoot, I left my other little notepad home because it was
Okay.
too small.
What
But it
month?
was September 2022.
Okay, so
Um,
this text was not nothing to do with the incident at all.
no, it was September,
Okay.
so a full 6 months before the incident. So this is what I'm
Right.
saying. He spent at least 6 months trying to unload her.
Right. And also, please disclaim your biases so that people know. My biases is I personally don't have a bias. I literally just wait and I do my best to try and tip it back, because if I do see a lot of this, if you've been watching my reporting of this, I don't make any predetermination. I try to bring you the most unfiltered way, in the most unfiltered way possible. Like, I don't pick a side. But Dani, what are
I
your
pick a
biases?
side.
Okay, well, she has.
I
Okay,
have, because
I
like
am
I
not.
told you.
There is something that I don't do on this channel. I do not tone police anybody. They can do whatever they want. I will do my best. It's just this is my channel. I'm gonna do my best to keep everything neutral. That's why I'm asking so many different. If any of you have seen my previous streams, you will see I've been trying to be a bit antagonistic. She even admits on the last stream that text message was really damning, and he could be found guilty just based on that alone, and just based on how do I even put it, um just based on how toxic relationships are being viewed in cases like this. Like, you could easily lose. She said that last week. So there
Based
is
on
no
the information we had as of that point. Right. But even
absolutely.
still, there was still enough doubt to even ignore that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I want to read this super chat. Thank you so much, Bougie, on a budget Fiji rate. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. He says, I was ready to throw him away after the headlines last week, but I need more context because testimony from her today was inconsistent. We'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. But thank you so much for the super chat. Marty Ma with the Asian flag. Woo! All right. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. That's very, very generous of you. I really do appreciate it. She says, ignore the troll typing in the chat. If they ain't got no money, you shouldn't be able to hear them. You should be able to hear
right.
them.
They're not paying. Don't even acknowledge it. Because we don't,
I've been in the bushes and you both are doing great. Thank you so much, by the way. To be quite fair, the only reason why I really wanted to highlight that is because she represents, to me, from what I saw, and this is not a judgment on you, it's just what I've been seeing on my Twitter. You do represent a lot of people that have just followed one source or a couple more, or have preconceived biases already, which everyone is entitled to do. Everyone is entitled to have their own biases. I am planning to actually bring on Verdict Watch. I'm sorry, on Verdict, when this all, I'm gonna bring on someone that has worked with trauma victims, and and has dealt with victims herself. So she's gonna come on, and she has really strong opinions about this case and how it has been reported. I don't know what our biases are, but she is very, she is very knowledgeable in the field of abuse and all those things, and her opinion will be very valuable, because in the chat is being said that we don't know how abusive dynamics work. I'm gonna quote the girl that's gonna bring on the that's going to come on the Verdict Watch. She said, just because your experience is real, like, we all go through things. I've been on both sides of this. I've been abused and I've been falsely accused. I even as a child, not by my parents, by the way, just, nothing like that. But the thing that she said that resonated with me was, when you're looking through all of these people, they're not you. They're not you. Like,
Right.
your experiences can be projected and, you know, come to the forefront. You do see yourself in them, but they're not you. So adding to that, put it to one side and just look at it, because you can destroy lives by believing someone is inherently a victim or
Right.
inherently innocent. It doesn't make sense to believe someone is inherently innocent without seeing anything. And there has been a massive misreporting. I'm just gonna say it straight. Omissions, you might as well. It's not reporting if you're omitting something. Like,
Exactly.
like
And see,
you
my
need.
thing is, this is, I had my little rant earlier, but this is where society has landed. This is where we are now. It's gotten to the point where legitimate publications like New York Times, Washington Times, you know, like age-old, 100-year-old publications have to warn you of how long an article is before you read it.
Right.
1 minute read, 2 minute read. This is where we've come as a society, where the attention spans are so short that the desire to read beyond 1 minute or 2 minutes is so non-existent that a lot of these media sources play on that. They bank on the short attention spans. They bank on the fact that people are not going to go beyond in their research. They bank on people reading to misunderstand, reading to form an opinion before they even finish reading. I miss the public library. Let me just put it that way. We are literally in the Google to greatness generation. They figure they hit Google, type in a couple of phrases, the first thing pop up, they're going to run with it. You know what I mean? Don't do any research, make accusations, project their own personal trauma, personal issues, hatred of men, hatred of Black men onto a situation without even considering the fact that 90% of the evidence that's been presented thus far exonerates him. You understand what I'm saying? And then we forget that these are human beings. There are probably people right now, as we speak, in a very similar situation, and they would never see it the way they're seeing Jonathan Major's situation, because it's so normalized to them. But until, you know, a celebrity has to deal with, and these same people probably condemning him are projecting their problems onto him because they can't leave their situation. So they're sitting there giving him all the hell that they can't give the man that's in their house that probably should be getting the hell. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of projection going on here. And at the end of the day, there are real people out here being abused, both men and women. We're not going to ever minimize that. But this is not that case. And if we want to really play games, we can say that text indicated that he was the one being abused. You see what I'm saying? Because why do you want to end it all? Like, what's going on? What did she do that made you feel like that was your only option? You understand what I'm saying? Let's flip the script. Why was so much of her text conversation redacted and his wasn't? You know, because I've never had a moment where I wanted to, you know, end it all. But at the end of the day, I'm promising you that if I do, it's probably because of something that somebody else did. It's not something that I did. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's most of us. Most of us get that deep in despair because of outside things going on. It's very rarely that it's just us sitting there just like, oh, I'm going to go hang myself today. Like, that's not what people do. It's usually some situation that they're facing that they feel like they can't get out of except for in a coffin, you know? So we don't know if maybe that's why he was feeling that way. Maybe her energy sucks. Maybe that's just the energy she brings to the situation, to where you feel so overwhelmed. And so, you know, and I said it before, I feel like she's that person that you have to mentally prepare to be around. And the testament to that is the fact that her own friends didn't answer the phone. Her sister didn't answer the phone. Her friend went through her whole daily routine with her baby before she answered the phone.
And that's what she testified to as well, isn't it?
Yes, she testified to that. She said she did not answer the phone because she had to bathe and feed and nap her child. And by the time she sat down and looked at the phone and did the time conversion, she was like, oh, shoot, maybe this is important.
She actually said that? Oh, that was that quote.
Not in those words.
Oh,
But,
sorry.
That was the insinuation. And then today, the guy that came up, calling himself playing Captain Saberho, he got up there, the agent manager guy that went with her to the hospital. He got up there using creative license with her emotions, and the judge just let him go. And I'm like, since when are we allowing people to speculate on how people feel without them actually telling them that? So he sat there the whole time speculating on how he thought she felt, how her emotions were when he was with her at Bellevue for 3 hours in a psych ward. He even said that he tried to convince her to leave and tried to get her to call her sister. So it sounded like the way he said it sounded like her and her sister did not have a good relationship. And I'm only saying that too because last week when she mentioned calling her sister after the whole thing went down, she got choked up. And I'm like, what are you crying about calling your sister for? So I'm thinking, and then the fact that this guy today said that, let me get the exact words. Ben Totty is his name. He's he's like her agent or manager or something. And he said, in these exact words, I tried to persuade her to go to a hotel or to speak to her sister. So I know in America, when you say, oh, try to speak to your sister, that sounds like you haven't spoken to your sister in a long time. Otherwise, I would say, call your sister, give your sister a call. I wouldn't say try to speak to your sister. So I don't know if they had some kind of issue going on at that time, because like I said, when she mentioned during her initial testimony that she tried to call her sister, she started crying before she could even get it out. And needless to say, the sister didn't answer.
Also, thank you so much, Kat, for the $2 super chat. I will read it out in a second. I just want to address something that the LW Academy Hub literally just said in the chat. And it was in regarding to suicide being a form of abuse. Right. It can be.
Right.
And I have studied this, but it needs a lot of context.
Right.
A lot of context is needed. What you're referring to, and let's not conflate, because suicide is a very important thing. Because, and again, I can't wait for that guest to come for the verdict watch, because she's going to lay this out much better than I do. I don't want to, take that away from her. But the point is, if you are saying, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself.
There you go. And that's not what happened.
If you say I'm going to unalive myself and threaten that, and then say that is emotional abuse. Yes, you're 100% correct. That's where it falls. But that's where it stops. Because if someone is talking suicide and it's not in a situation where it's being manipulative, like if you don't stop this, blah blah blah, it's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this. It's a dangerous rhetoric that we're going down, where we're seeing Texas, and then you're saying that this man is being emotionally abused, right?
Abusive,
sorry, emotionally abusive. And the guy is trying to leave her.
He's trying to leave her because he literally asked her to leave. He asked her to leave and she left. So how is it emotionally abusive if I'm trying to get rid of you and you're not trying to get rid of me? You see what I'm saying? But this is that Google to greatness nonsense. They Google some talking points, put it in the chat, and then expect you to just eat the bullshit they're serving. And we don't do that here. Maybe that should be my catchphrase if I do get a YouTube channel. We don't do that here. So if you're going to sit there and Google a talking point, miss me with that. I don't even know why you're answering these people. Answer this lady that's dropping a bag in your chat. Orange pill nurse. She done dropped a bag since we've been in here. Answer. Stop answering these people that ain't even paying to aggravate us.
I completely, Dani, the chat, you are 100% right. Like, you're 100% right. Like,
Don't
You're
even
100% right.
acknowledge that
And
nonsense because these people are going to be strong and wrong. They're going to sit here and distract your chat with the nonsense and,
right.
and probably can't even get past the 1 minute read on the New York Times. So you sit here and you answer Orange Pill Nurse. She done gave you $19.99.
Yes. No, I really, by the way, I
Yeah.
really do appreciate your super chats. I just felt like those topics that was going on there just needed to be addressed. But 100% it's been addressed. It's all done now. I appreciate everyone that is sending their super chats. They will be read. Kat, thank you so much once again for your super chat. Sorry it's taken this long to read it out. I'm extremely sorry. But she asked, was Jolie Torielli sitting in the court this morning?
I did not notice her because I don't really look over in that media area anymore because it's like 3 people, so I don't even bother looking anymore. I hope she wasn't because she's a witness, so she shouldn't have been in the gallery. I don't recall seeing her prior to her actually coming up on the stand.
And for those that don't know, I believe Josie Torielli is the person that was
that's the expert. That's
the expert witness.
She's a social worker, and her main area of expertise is trauma, sexual abuse, some degree of domestic violence. But like I said, the majority of her testimony had nothing to do because the judge put restrictions in place. He allowed them to have that witness because that's when we started winning. As soon before the jury even came in the room, he sat for about 30 minutes running through a bunch of precedents in terms of using expert witnesses to testify about domestic violence. Over half of the precedents had to do with rape. I'm like, we're not even talking about rape, but I'll let you live. But he was very clear on what she cannot say. She can't talk about syndrome. She can't give an opinion on whether certain conduct constituted domestic violence. She can't talk about battered women syndrome. She can't give an opinion on credibility. She cannot bolster Jabbari's testimony. She could not give testimony about false reports and how false reports are rare. So basically, the scope of what she can discuss is extremely truncated. And that was evident in today's testimony because, like I said, it felt like I got to my lecture hall after a long day of work and had to listen to my professor drone on and on and on about stuff I can just go to TikTok and learn. It was nothing that nobody ever heard before, and that's exactly what Zuckerman said when he tried to get her disqualified as an expert. He literally said everything that she's saying is stuff that people already know. And it literally is because this is, the era that we're in where you can literally just every other TikToker, every other IG personality is talking about narcissism, talking about, all the gaslighting and all the hot button phrases. And she didn't say the word gaslighting because I guess she knows that it's so overly used, but she gave an example of gaslighting and Zuckerman made her acknowledge that that's what she was doing. And she did.
Right.
She's another one that likes to minimize certain things that she says and use semantics to throw you off. But like I said, she got really snippy with him and she seemed like she had a bit of an attitude problem. I'm like, at $200 an hour, I'm going to need you to relax and just answer these questions and go home. That's all I need you to do.
The Orange Pill Nurse, thank you ever so much for your $19.99 super chat. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate every single one of you that's been sending your super chats over. She says, he or she, I don't know your gender, says, people forget when Tina Knowles was coming out with a documentary on black men being negatively stereotyped. Sisters gave it negative reviews before it even came out. To your point about this push attacking black men, Dani, I didn't even know that. So maybe you can expound a little bit more on that.
I don't know about the documentary, but I know about this agenda that's on social media. Now we're deep in the throes of all this gender war stuff, and it's really targeting, black women against black men and the whole 50-50 debate and where I'm not going to go to dinner on a first date thing. And it's just constant barrage of anti-black man, and then it's, with that Ebony K. Williams nonsense where she, basically insulted half the nation, half the working class black men in the country, because she said, the whole thing with the bus driver and not, and not aiming higher and being D students, and she's not going to provide a soft place for low achieving black men to land. Meanwhile, the high achieving white man that she had dumped her during the pandemic because she tried to make him choose between her and his kids. But we're going to ignore that and listen to you badmouth black men that are working hard and earning a living for their family. So this has been an agenda that's been pumping along long before Jonathan Majors got caught up in this nonsense. And he's basically like, and I'll keep saying it, and thank God, because now it's going to shed some light on, how appalling and unacceptable this is. He's basically become a martyr for the cause of redeeming black men. You know what I mean? And showing up for black men. And, and I am so impressed, because I thought it was just me for a minute and a little fan club that, that I helped moderate. But it turns out that there are people worldwide that are going to bat for him. And that's a big part of the reason why I participate, or have been participating on these platforms as of the last week or so. Because I'm like, we got people in the UK, people in Canada, and men, black men showing up for black men. You know what I mean? And even women. Kat, you're a sister, honorary sister, and I thank you for that, because this has to stop. You know what I mean? It has to stop at some point. It has to. We have to start coming together and trying to back each other up, and stop always thinking the worst, based on our own personal experience. If I based everything that I felt about black men on my personal experiences, forget it. I may as well be 6 feet under. You know what I mean? Because you would literally not enjoy any moment of your life, because everything is about what somebody did to you and what, no. Once you become an adult and you have control over your own life and free agency, that you have to control the narrative. Stop. And the one thing that expert did say today that I did agree with is that it's part of her therapy or way that she helps her clients cope, is to teach them to basically stop letting their story define their life, define who they are. Detach yourself, divorce the story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This happened to me, that happened to me. Divorce that story. We're working on healing now. We're not working on talking about things that happened that you can't go back and fix. Let's talk about healing. Let's talk about progress. So, I can go on and on about that, but yeah.
That's fine. Puma Lee, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really do appreciate you. Puma says, Dani is speaking facts on life and truth. Love heart, wait on justice. Don't ignore the real people with DV issues. This isn't one in this story. He is innocent. Now, thank you so much for that opinion, because now we're gonna get into what happened today, and we're gonna dive into these testimonies that came from not today, yesterday. We're gonna dive into the testimonies of the taxi driver. A lot more that probably wasn't reported. I want to hear it, and also the friends as well. Let's go into that. So but before we do, we are 1 hour 18 minutes into the live stream right now. Around 1 hour or something, or 1 hour 10 minutes. So if you've made it this far, clearly you're enjoying this. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, because we have a lot more content coming out, and to also keep up to date with this case. And don't forget to share as well on your socials, and also follow Dani, please. She is reporting live from court. I'm telling you, you need to follow her. Her ad should be on the screen, on our side. Type it onto Twitter, now called X, and make sure you follow her for the core updates. Follow me too, but no, but seriously, follow her. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Now, few of them not gonna like me after this conversation. I normally don't read the chats because I can't see it on this, but I see it on my phone, and I'm just like, you know what? If this was my thing, that LW person would have been blocked a long time ago. I'm not a lawyer, Anthony, but I guess I'm a lawyer, honorary lawyer with all the education I have, because I actually am very close to a PhD in law and public policy, but I took a bit of a break because my brain is fried. But I probably have enough credits to be a lawyer at this point.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's too much. It's like, having a master's degree in a topic that you're not sitting live and witnessing matters not. I have 2 master's degrees and damn near a doctorate, and I couldn't go sit in an O.J. Simpson trial talking about I know something about what was going on if that's not my area of expertise. So, I mean, anyway, I said, they're not paying to play. We're not going to acknowledge that. But
let's go back to day. So who was the first witness up for Monday?
Monday, the first witness was Chloe Zoeller.
Zoeller. Let's talk about her. Let's go into her a little bit.
Oh, that's the girl in the video when they're in front of the Lafayette Street. I'm sorry with this little wand here. I'm getting in teacher mode now. That was the lady. Okay, let me.
Is that the one?
Once you get it, yeah. Okay, so Chloe, young lady here with the black, all black. Yeah, standing next to Grace. Grace has like the white and black Chloe. Jacket. That's Chloe right there. Right. Yeah, she's the one that when, Grace is telling them the story, she gives her a hug, and then she says something about fair game, girly. So I don't know what that meant, but the guy in the white hat, that's Max. That's her boy. Well, at the time was her boyfriend. And then the guy in the gray shirt is Shims or Shams, whatever they call them.
Well, I'm not surprised. Look at how Chloe treated him after they're done.
Oh, yeah, she smacked him, punched him in the chest. Well, because he's a tough guy, and I'm sure that's probably the reason why they broke up, because he probably was getting his ass beat on a regular basis, drinking and thinking that he could just pop up in people's faces, minding other people's business. Because I'm like, literally, if that was an everyday person that didn't have anything to lose, you would have got stretched right there in front of that building, But he seems like one of those sloppy drunks. They'll drink and then they want to fight. They'll drink and they want to, confront people. She said that they had just come out of that apartment. They were there drinking and, watching a basketball game, according to Max. She admitted that she was intoxicated. She came downstairs to go find an Uber to the party that they were going to next, which is the one that they ended up at Lucy's. She says she does not believe that she had any problems understanding what was going on around her, but she did admit to being intoxicated. She didn't say tipsy. She said intoxicated. Right. She said when she came out, she noticed that her boyfriend and the guy in the gray shirt, which I'm surprised they didn't get him to testify, but thank God I can't deal with that anymore. She noticed they were talking to someone she didn't know, and then that's when she approached and they spoke for a few minutes. Grace told her what happened. Right. Then they saw Jonathan walk by. She was overwhelmed, flustered. You can hear in her voice, it wasn't anything too dramatic, but she was flustered, overwhelmed, stressed out, whatever. Right. They saw him pass by. You see her boyfriend call himself, trying to approach. Every time I think they showed that part at least twice, and every time they showed it, she kind of laughed at how she had to punch him in the chest to calm him down. She said that she saw Grace, follow behind him. She followed behind them, but she kind of stayed a distance away. So she claims she doesn't recall what Jabbari was saying, even though some evidence that was deemed inadmissible does indicate that she was yelling at Jonathan. out of frame of this image. She follows them, like I said. She said they were on that corner, around the corner, for at least 30 minutes. The driver ended up popping back up again after they ran the first time. She said she tried to figure out. She basically was kind of there but not there. She was kind of like trying to help mediate the situation in terms of like figuring out where Grace could go, kind of like to try to separate. But she never once testified that Jonathan came across as abusive, agitated. She said he actually thanked her and the other two for taking care of Grace, in those exact words. Thank you for taking care of Grace. He even took the time to take a selfie with a fan. You see that in the surveillance video. So clearly he was not in a state of mind to be like, I'm good, like chill, I can't right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously she says she entered the car with Grace for a few seconds to try to get her to go home, but then she eventually invited her to the party. They took an Uber to the party. She sat with Grace in the back of the Uber. When asked by both sides, she says she did not see any bruising, any injuries, any bleeding anywhere on Grace. And as you see in this video, she hugs Grace right there in that frame, and then she hugs her about 5 more times at Lucy's. And she said not once, and it's pretty well lit right here, did she see any injury on her ear. She didn't see her hand at all that night. No head injury, obviously. She said that by the time they got to the party, they were already running late, but then by standing there extra 30 minutes trying to get those two situated, they were extra late. So by the time they got to the party, all the free drinks were gone. So she said that they sat at a table and she kind of jerry-rigged some drinks together for her and Grace. And then Grace eventually was like, okay, yeah, I guess this is not strong enough. So order a round of tequila shots and some champagne. And she said Grace told her that was Jonathan's card. I don't know why she felt the need to volunteer that, but Chloe did testify that she did tell her that was Jonathan's card. They ordered the champagne, they drank. She said that Grace came across as lighter, happier in her demeanor. She spent the entire time with Grace and did not notice any injuries. She did say it was hard to see inside the club because it's dark. But again, she saw her plenty of times before they got in the club and said she did not see it. She was with her 30 minutes after this frame. She was in the Uber with her, in the club with her. After she walked her out of the club, when she ran into the wall, it was pretty well lit in front of that entryway. Still didn't see any injuries. On the cross, they kept bringing up the fact that they took a lot of selfies.
Right.
I guess to show that Grace was, leaning on them, hugging up on them, and yet nobody noticed that she was bleeding or cut behind her ear. She said that Chloe had 3 to 4 drinks by the time she met Grace. So basically, by the time they got to the Lucy's, a good 45 minutes later, they had more drinks. She said that when she gave her a hug, she did not complain of any pain or transfer any blood onto her clothes. Something she told the defense that got objected to, but we heard it. It's one thing about objections, unless they move to strike, it's still on the record.
Yep.
She said that when she saw Jonathan, there were tears on his face, like as if he was crying.
Wait, what was that? Wait. What was the objection for this?
Because I guess it would have led to some, to her speculating as to why he might have been crying.
Oh, so it was objection speculation? Was that what it was?
I don't know. I don't remember what the objection was because it got sustained so fast that they didn't even get to explain why they were objecting.
It's probably
she did say that. She did say that when she saw him, he had tears on his face. she does not recall hearing Majors yelling, and that she may have used the term that she heard Grace yelling at Majors.
Right.
Then they played the video with the sound.
Right.
And like I said, she smiled when she saw herself hit Billy in the chest for trying to fight Jonathan over something he didn't even know what was going on. Let me see. We got to that. She said that at some point there was a bucket of ice at Lucy's that Jabbari used, but she does not recall any injury to her finger or her telling her that there was an injury to her finger. She said that they were potentially, I don't know how you potentially vape, but she said they potentially vaped and that she does believe so when asked about Jabbari smoking. She confessed that she did not see everything Jabbari did that night, despite saying that she was with her the whole night. She said, not that I recall, when asked if Jabbari indicated any pain while holding her hand, because there are some surveillance videos showing her and Chloe holding hands on that hand that was supposedly injured. Fast forward to her walking Jabbari out to go meet her cab. The video shows Jabbari kind of stumble into the wall. When the defense brings that up, it gets objected to and sustained, but we saw it. And from what I understand, last Thursday they saw it too. So now I actually got to see it. I wasn't there last Thursday. But you do see them hug 3 different times. They hug, they kind of talk a little bit, they hug again, they talk a little bit, they hug a third time, talk a little bit, and then they break away. And then I guess that's when Grace goes to get into the cab. Like that drunk hugging, you just hugging everybody because you've been drinking too much. It looked like that because I'm like, why do you keep hugging each other? What's going on? It was weird. She's holding Jabbari's right hand in those images as well. She said that she met with the DA twice, once back in April and once last week, meaning I guess Friday. She said that Jonathan and Grace were touching physically, but she did not recall anything of that nature, meaning anything of like an abusive fighting type nature. The judge would not, because the defense did ask, what were you doing here when she punched the boyfriend in the chest for trying to walk up on Jonathan? The judge wouldn't allow her to explain because he basically was like, they know what happened. They saw what happened. That's what the judge said.
Right.
Redirect, came back, asked her. She said she did not look at Jabbari's finger. She didn't recall seeing her head or finger being hit or her falling. Okay. But we're really trying to say, we're thinking that she fell at home.
Right.
In that 3-story penthouse with the wooden stairs.
This is Grace Jabbari, by the way.
And multiple hard surfaces, huh?
No, I was just saying for the purposes for the chat, this is Grace Jabbari, and that's Chloe right here. Yes, that's Max. Don't know this guy unidentified male.
Shams. I guess he didn't. He refused to testify because I'm surprised they didn't bring him in.
Yeah, he would have been. He would have been a great. I think he would have, because he was the one that was trying to go after Jonathan. No, that was Max. No.
That was the one with the white hat. Yeah.
Okay, so
30-year-old frat boy.
So Chloe is done. Who was up next?
Max.
Right.
Max was pretty useless. They got rid of him pretty quickly.
Okay, but I do gotta ask. Did they ask why he wanted to chase after Jonathan? Like, did they didn't ask that question?
Ask, and probably because the judge already told her that she couldn't describe what was happening in the video. They didn't even approach it, which was weird. I guess because he came across as very cocky, and he seemed like this was his time to shine. And I think they kind of sensed that, and they probably was like, we don't have no use for him. So they kind of got rid of him pretty quickly. He admitted that on a scale of 1 to 10, his intoxication was a 7. He didn't really know a whole lot that was going on. He didn't notice any injuries either. But again, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a 7, you're pretty sauced up. Yeah. So
No
he
use.
probably didn't know what was going, because a 10 would probably mean alcohol poisoning. So you know what I mean? So he was pretty booted up. So he didn't really have a whole lot to say. He pretty much said the same thing that Chloe said in terms of not noticing any injuries. After Jonathan passed, he saw Chloe follow him. He's the one that said Jonathan came back and thanked them for looking after Grace. He said that the altercation seemed like a continuation of the previous disagreement that she described that they had. Right. And he said when they got to Lucy's, he sporadically saw her. He has not seen or heard from her or Jonathan since March. And that's the same thing that Chloe said. Has not seen or heard from her since that night. And then we get to the driver. I don't really have anything to say about the driver, because the one thing Twitter did, they told the truth about that driver. There's not anything that anybody on either side of the aisle tweeted that was not true.
Okay.
Something about discrediting him. I don't know how you're going to discredit somebody's experience, but
they did. Lo and behold, the Rolling Stone tried. They really tried.
Oh, of course they did. And I'm sure there was some racist spin to it, because you know that their head guy got terminated for being a racist.
No, they just said that they just brought up the article which in the prosecution motion I think to disqualify him or something. I don't know. I don't know what the motion was for.
They didn't try to disqualify him. They've been accommodating this guy since almost day one.
No. I was spitballing. I actually don't know what the motion is called.
Yeah,
I don't know what the motion is called. But the article was basically saying that the prosecution was arguing that the driver was unreliable, not credible, because damn it. Oh, I don't want to quote the wrong thing. Let me just go to it.
Yeah, go to it, because I'm curious to see what nonsense they're talking about now, because this is crazy. Of note, though, and I forgot to post it because my notes started getting a little willy-nilly.
Go on.
But there was hold on. There was no witness, but there was hold on, let me find it.
Damn it. Okay. So while I am looking for this driver's test motion that was reported, I just want to say do send over if you like what we're doing here, or and you feel it's of value, do send over super chats and they will be read out on screen. You can also send super thanks. It will really help the channel grow, and that's for all the replay viewers. Once again, thank you so much for everyone else that has already super chatted. I really appreciate every single one of you for supporting this channel in the way that you have chosen to do so. So if you want your chats read on the screen, send away. But alternatively, once we get to the end of the show, I will be picking out the best chat from the chat. So So anyway, we'll go back to this. Dani, anything for us?
For the driver?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You're supposed to be looking. Okay, so long I can't find it in my notes because I scribbled it somewhere and forgot. Did I do it in the back? Maybe that's why.
It must have been in your previous notes. The one that you.
No, it was in this book, but I feel like I might have scribbled it somewhere outside of the thing. But long story short, people were asking about a video inside the Escalade. There was a camera inside the Escalade because we did see it in photographic evidence. But a statement was submitted without an actual witness showing up that says that the camera was not recording and that there were no modifications or edits made to the SD card that was in the camera. It was just something that it was just.
So Priya didn't lie then.
Oh. Yeah, it was a fluke that it didn't record.
Yes.
But it was
Hold up.
something that
Okay,
was
go on.
presented. I can't find it now, but basically that was the bottom line for the people that wanted to know what happened to the camera inside the Escalade, because there was a camera. It was, you can see it in the evidence photos, but it was not recording. And someone from the car service I guess signed an affidavit to that effect, that it didn't record, that nobody doctored up or edited anything that would have been on it. It just wasn't, it just didn't record.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the driver testified. He came and picked him up around 5 o'clock. He's an older guy, probably in his early 50s. The interpreter looks to be a little older. They sat side by side in the witness box. The entire testimony was in Urdu. I thought that the translator would just question him in Urdu and he would answer in English, because that would have made the most sense. But they did say before trial started that he was highly offended at them thinking he needed a translator, because he felt like he spoke good enough English. So I personally feel like he was on, Petty Street and was like, okay, since y'all want to get me a translator, I'm not speaking no English at all. Because he most definitely did not speak any English. He answered in Urdu. He was asked a question in Urdu, and the translator.
Yeah. He probably, you know what? I like that, because I think he just wanted to be really safe and make sure that this guy doesn't suffer, because he can't pronounce properly. If that makes sense.
But he spoke good English, though, because I told you that on Saturday, that he spoke good English. He just didn't understand what the judge was doing with that whole vocabulary quiz, because he was like, what do you mean? What does objection mean? Like, because the judge never did that to any other witness. So I don't know if he was annoyed at that or if he was genuinely confused. But that's fair, because you have American citizens that don't know what objection sustained and overruled means. You know what I mean? So he spoke good English, but he didn't yesterday. He was like, not today. So yeah, everything was translated through the interpreter. And he testified that he's been driving for the car service for 2 years. He mostly deals with Emirates Airlines business class. He said that Priya Sadiani, who is Jonathan's, I guess, manager, is the one that set up the car. It was a Cadillac Escalade. He picked them up around 5 p.m. at that Chelsea building that they lived in. When asked who was with Jonathan, he said a girl was with him. When asked about their interaction, he said it was good. He said he took them to BAM, which is the Brooklyn Academy of Music. He said he stayed in his car outside. After quite a while, they came out. When asked about their interaction, he said it was good. Keep in mind now, I don't know anything about, languages such as Urdu, but the way it was translated clearly indicated that there are no direct translations from the English language. So he refers to Jonathan as the boy and he refers to Grace as the girl. I don't know, and I keep meaning to tweet that to see if anybody out there speaks Urdu or a similar language, and if they can corroborate why he was saying girl instead of woman or boy instead of man. I don't know if that's the only translation that is available in that language, where, like in Romance languages, they have like Spanish, it'll be ella, or niño, niña versus, a man, you know what I mean? There's a differentiation, but I don't know if in, languages such as that, if there is one. And I think that was part of what, people found a little funny, because the way it was really like to the point, his testimony, the way it translated to the point. There was no nuance. There was no fuzzy, trying to make it sound nicer than what it was. And that's what made it funny when he kept saying he was trying to get rid of the girl. He was trying to get rid of the girl. He said that neither seemed intoxicated. He took them to the restaurant. They remained there for about 90 minutes. He was in his car. So every time he dropped them off somewhere, he would just sit in his car and wait because they hired him for the night. He says after leaving the restaurant, their interactions, it was good. Then he said, when the altercation occurred, he was on his way to take them home. He said, then I went to leave them at the house. And those were his exact words. And that's why I say that the translation is not literal to how we speak. Because he said, then I went to leave them at the house instead of I went to take them home, right? 12:40 a.m. He says, I was taking them to their house. When we reached Canal and Bowery Street, the girl said, I want to see something on your phone. He said he was looking straight, but they never asked him if he was looking through his rearview mirror, which is key because you can look straight and still see what's going on. Like I told you, I have an Escalade.
Yeah.
The rearview mirror, it pans the whole back of the car. So you can look straight and still see what's going on. But they never asked him. Neither side ever asked him, well, okay, you were looking straight, but were you looking through? Because you know when you eye hustling, you can look like up at the top of the rearview mirror and still see what's going on, and it still looks like you're looking straight. Right?
If I was cross-examining, that's the first thing I'll be asking because and
nobody asked him that. You know, they just took it at face value. You were looking straight, so that means you couldn't have seen what happened, which is nonsense. No matter what car you have, you can look straight and still see what's going on in the back because you're looking straight, but up at the rearview mirror, right? He says the boy said there was nothing, but the girl was insisting. He says, I was feeling that something was going on in the back seat. The boy wanted to get rid of the girl, so he opened the door. The boy came out of the car at Center and Canal Street. The crazy thing is all this stuff happened within a 2 or 3 block radius of the courthouse. Because I actually walked past a couple of the places that that she was chasing him past, including that Lafayette building that she met these people at. So yeah, he said the boy came.
The irony! Oh my God! They're right back in here.
And the crazy thing is, Center and Canal Street. That's literally the train station stop that I come out at. Right. I get off at the Canal Street station, and then the intersection. I mean, the main drag is Center Street, and then the intersection is Canal Street. So it's literally 2 blocks from the courthouse. This whole thing went down.
Right. Okay.
And the jail, because there's a jail there with huge prison buses parked right in front of it.
You're going to jail.
Yeah.
You're going to jail.
Right.
Continue.
And like you said, the irony, right?
Absolutely.
He said he saw that they were fighting among themselves. He was trying to get rid of her. He was saying, leave me alone. I want to go. He was not doing anything. She was doing everything. He did say he was trying to throw her in the car. But again, that translation thing, right?
Right.
Then he says, I do remember the boy was pushing her back in the car to get rid of her. Then they both left. He said that was when he ran and then she ran after him. He says he called his booker, the one who booked the car. She told him to wait and she would call him back. So in the meantime, he took a right turn on Center Street and he parked the car on the left side. That's where the surveillance is showing him parked kind of on the corner with his flashers on. He says, when I looked in front, I saw them standing on the side. So that's the surveillance where they're on the side of the car around the time when he does the autograph thing with the fan. The booker called him and said that he should wait for them. The girl again was yelling at the boy and they were having argument. I had a feeling the girl had hit the boy earlier by the way she was fighting and the sounds produced. After sitting in the car, they started fighting, meaning arguing again. Then they played a video. The boy came out first. Now, the funny thing is, remember, he only saw them that night. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever taken a private car service, but it's not for you to become best friends with the driver. They very rarely pay you any attention other than dropping you off where you need to go and waiting for you, okay? So the last time he saw them was that night. So he could not identify Jonathan on the video. Now, in fairness, the video is very blurry. It's dark because even Chloe couldn't really point herself out in that same video because it was far away. It looked like it was taken from across the street and out in like Canal Street, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 3 lanes going north, 3 lanes going south. So it seemed like the camera was perched far back on the other side of the street. So you can only see like moving images, but you can't really make out who's who. He did not remember them coming in the car a 3rd time. I don't either. So I don't know where that's coming from, that they came back to the car 3 times. I only remember twice. He did not remember what Grace looked like. He says that he only recognized Jonathan from seeing him on Friday. When he came Friday and they told him he had to come back Monday with the interpreter, he said he only remembers Jonathan because he saw him last Friday. So he couldn't pick him out, on the street if he had to. On cross, he testified there was no blood. Crazy thing. He did so good for the defense during direct that Cross only had 2 questions for him, and then they let him go. And the 2 questions were, was there blood in the car? No. Was Jonathan in the 3rd row of the car? He said he didn't remember Jonathan sitting in the 3rd row of the car because Grace said that he sat in the 3rd row of the car the second time they got in. The driver said he did not remember seeing that.
If he said no to that, that would have been it. The reasonable doubt established right then.
Yeah, that whole starting with Chloe, that's when the reasonable doubt started. And then the other guy confirmed it because the other guy was, talking nice about Jonathan. And then this guy, he took it over the edge.
And who was next after the taxi driver?
The doctor.
The doctor was next. Okay, what did
I called him the good doctor because he was trying so hard.
The good doctor. Dr. Chiang, what's his name?
William Chiang. William Chiang. I think it's Chaing. I couldn't really make it out.
Chiang.
I've been spelling it wrong.
I'm gonna get it. I'm butchering it. Sorry about that. William
it's pronounced Chiang, but I couldn't hear when he was spelling it. It sounded like he said Chaing. I could be wrong, so I just spell it phonetically.
Right. What was direct testimony like? So sorry, go on.
He was trying really hard to testify for the prosecution. It was very clear that he was a prosecution witness, especially because he would not come in sooner per Priya's request. He came in when he felt like coming in because he could have came earlier next week, but he just came when he felt like coming. I guess the judge had to say, look, we're trying to finish this up by this date. You need to get in here. He's probably in his 60s. It looks like he's been practicing for 33 years since 1984. He's board certified in emergency room medicine. He has acted as an expert witness 3 to 4 times. So he was deemed by the judge to be an expert witness for this testimony. He's going through the whole, the medical records. He seems to not have any idea of what's in the records. They had to keep giving him the records to look over because apparently his name is just on the paperwork, but he doesn't actually do the paperwork. So, and that's usually customary. It's usually the nurse practitioners or the physician assistants that actually take down, or the RNs that take down all the information. The doctor is just there to sign off on things. And this was no different because he could not remember a lot about Grace being there. He had to keep looking at the actual, the papers, the electronic medical records that they printed out for him to flip through. And he basically was just not necessarily reading, but relaying what was in the papers in terms of how she presented and what she said. He didn't know firsthand, basically.
Right.
He said the injuries, the same, the bruising, pain to the right middle finger. They did an x-ray of the finger. They put the x-ray up. He couldn't even find a fracture. He just kept referring us to the arrow that the radiologist put on anybody that's had an x-ray, you know that most radiologists, they will put some type of marker pointing to whatever it is that, that they're trying to get you to see. So that was the case here. It was like a little, I couldn't see it. That's how small it was, but he couldn't see it either, but he just kept saying it's where the arrow is. It's where the radiologist put the arrow. He says her joint was not dislocated. It was a fine hairline fracture. So if you know what a piece of hair looks like, just picture that as being a fracture. And it was like right here in her middle finger, but the size of a hair, like the width of a hair.
Before you continue, I just want to give out a disclaimer because I didn't say this. I should have said this when we were playing the CCTV, but a lot of the videos have been played in court has not been available to the public. I just want to put it out there. So I don't have any videos to show Grace running into a wall. I don't have any videos. Right. I don't have any videos in regards, but in regards to the chase, around the block, all I have is the ones that have been publicly available. But the jury has seen them. Anyway, back to you. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
He basically just was saying what he thought the prosecution wanted him to say, because first he said that her injuries were consistent with what she said happened. But then on cross, he had to admit that she didn't know how she got hurt, that she didn't know how her finger got hurt, how her ear got hurt. She didn't know if she hit something that could have pulled her ear forward, because he kept testifying that the only way, or one of the only ways to get that injury right in the crease behind her ear would be if somebody, if your ear got pulled forward somehow.
Right. Do you remember what question was asked to him to solicit that answer?
This was on cross. So they were asking him, well, how, did she remember how she got injured? And he basically was saying she didn't know any of the answers to those questions. Now on direct, he testified that her ear injury would have come from a fight. Like a fight where her ear was pulled forward. So I don't know who she was fighting. I don't know if she went to the South Bronx and started scrapping with somebody, but according to him, it would have been some kind of fight or a sharp object that somehow made its way behind the crease of her ear.
Okay, so were any videos played for him?
No, it was just pictures of her ear. Those same, y'all don't know, but there's exhibit pictures that they've been showing just about everybody of the pictures that the police took and the selfies that she took of that cut behind her ear.
Right.
They never did a head exam, even though she claimed that she got hit in the head. They asked him, okay, if for the sake of argument, she did get hit in her ear and that's what caused the injury, wouldn't there be bruising around the immediate area of the ear? Yes, obviously, because who can with precision cut the back of somebody's ear and not damage the rest of the ear? They asked him about cauliflower ear. That's something that's typical of people that box, like boxers, or people that tend to get hit in their ear a lot. Jabbari was asked if she was struck. There was no indication or documentation to say she had been struck in the head or face. No bruising on her face or neck. She had normal range of motion. No bruising on her left arm or left side of her body. Because remember, she said that he twisted the left, which it doesn't even make sense from a logistical standpoint, because if you're turned this way, it would be this arm that would have got pulled, not your left arm. But she claimed that it was her left arm. There was no bruising, no handprint from grabbing. When he asked the doctor if he saw the transcript of how Jabbari testified to her injuries, he said no. He said that the injury of her hand was inconsistent with her finger being twisted, like she claimed happened. Or then sometimes she didn't. Look, I don't know. The doctor says there's no consistency with her whole hand being squeezed. He said it's unlikely because it's difficult to get a fracture from squeezing the hand. So meaning like if somebody went like this to your hand or like tried to, pry the phone from your hand, there's no way that that kind of fracture could be sustained. There was no indication that her hand was twisted. There's no isolated bruising, because that's another thing. It was just her one finger. No bruising around anything else on her hand, just that one finger. I wonder if she slammed it in the car door. I don't know. You know what I mean? No bruising to her head to indicate a blow to the head or ear. He says it would take substantial pulling or substantial force to pull it forward to cause that injury that she sustained. Let me see if photos shown. So this is where we get to the point where they find out she's an alcoholic by clinical standards. She told the psyche R that she had 5 to 6 glasses of wine. Then they gave her the audit C, which is an alcohol screening to assess whether a patient has an alcohol disorder. It's on a scale, like a numeric scale. For women, any score of 3 or more is positive and identifies hazardous drinking or alcohol abuse disorder. She scored a 5.
So that means she has actually got a drinking disorder then.
And Jonathan tried to tell, we've been trying to establish this since last week, but he kept objection. But now we got the doctor to say it. This doctor is also.
I think this was why it was probably expert testimony or something like that.
And it just so happens that, fun fact, this doctor is also a toxicology expert, and he's written articles on substance abuse. So he couldn't even go back and be like, well, no, that's not what that means, because you're actually an expert at this. So you can't even, you can't
impugn
your way out of it.
Yeah.
And they gave her 2. They gave her 2 of those audit C tests, one at 4:05 p.m. and one at 4:43 p.m. And she bombed twice. Wow. So it wasn't a fluke. You know what I mean? And she told the whoever was attending to her in the psych ER that 2 to 3 times a month she has 6 or more drinks.
Right. What questions were asked to solicit those answers? Let's start with the 2 or more drinks. Do you have anything to note? What was asked there?
Well, when they got into this line of questioning, because there was a lot of, they have to keep rephrasing the question in order to get the question out. Right. It was all questions. It was Priya doing the questioning. So the way Priya was very calculating and very measured and very intentional with the way she was asking the questions, because she knew that they were going to get objection happy. So she basically questioned him in a narrative format. So it was kind of like, Dr. Chiang, is it true that when a patient is seen in the psych ER for A, B, C, and D, this is the type of test that is given? So the audit C came out of Priya's mouth in terms of, is it true that according to this, you gave Grace Jabbari this audit C? I'm paraphrasing, but that's how he was answering the questions based on Priya giving him a narrative of what was actually in the records. So there was no way to object to anything, because I'm reading this from the records. I'm looking at the records and I'm seeing here that it says that you gave her this test. It says here that she says that she 2 to 3 times a month has 6 or more drinks. It says here that the test was given twice, and then he had to confirm that was a fact. You know what I mean? It says here that, you said there was, you understand what I'm saying? She went through the record rather than freestyling the questions, because the prosecution was just always, sometimes they would object before she could even get the full sentence out.
Right. Okay. What was cross-examination like? Oh, so sorry. What was that? Was cross?
Recross, because they recrossed twice. Because
okay. So what was?
They
redirected what was
twice.
going on in redirects then?
Oh wait, on part of cross was the clinical exam did not indicate that she was hit in the head. Because every time she told the story, it became more and more dramatic as to what happened to her head. So on redirect, they asked if her head, neck, spine, chest, and abdomen were examined. Yes. But she said that she did not have a recollection of the encounter. He did not have a recollection of the encounter. He testified that when a person has an audit C score of 4 or 5, they're usually given an intervention referral, but they did not do that with her. He testified that she was not clinically intoxicated, but we all know that you can still be intoxicated within legal limits. And he actually used that as an example. He was like, she was not clinically intoxicated. And he used the example of driving, you can drive while intoxicated, but below a certain limit. Recross, they came back, showed him page 4 of the medical emergency room report that says that she was not in acute distress. He testified that consumption of alcohol can potentially cause increased bleeding. We all know that, but of course he tried to minimize it. Everyone knows that when you drink, if you bleed, you're going to bleed more, when you're drinking.
Right.
Ear injury. He testified that the ear injury is inconsistent with being struck on the back of the head, because she claimed she was struck at the bottom of her skull. And there was no exams and no medical records to corroborate that.
This is the prosecution's witness, guys.
Right. And then they redirected one more time. And I literally said to myself, take the L, like it's over. I'm like, take the L. Like, how many times?
Yeah, this person treated.
Yeah. And then the only question that they had on redirect, because it was like they just had to have the last word, was that there was dry blood. And by that point, she didn't even have any dry blood on the back of her ear because she cleaned it.
Right.
Here it is I'm backtracking to the black car driver thing. Stipulation number 5, the SD card that was in the camera, nothing was deleted or modified, but there was no recording.
Okay.
There was no recording. So that's what I was telling you earlier about the thing. Then, we did the officers today. I call them Officer Amnesia and Officer Amnesia and Officer what did I call him? Choke or whatever.
So the last witness was Dr. Chiang for yesterday. That was
yesterday afternoon. Yeah, and then we adjourned and he went on his merry little way.
All right, so we're going on to today.
Yeah, you can go to my Twitter for that, because when I tell you it was so unremarkable, I just put them both in the same yeah, because it was literally I called it the 2-for-1 blue wall special, because they were literally that whole blue wall of silence nonsense where they just basically all say the same things with very few variations to the story. Both officers, the sergeant and the responding officer, pretty much all said the same thing. Body cam footage was showed again with no sound. Same instruction was given that it was only for the jury to assess what was going on to her injuries, what the police were doing, and
do you know what their names are? Like all
the officers?
Yeah.
The cops?
Yeah.
Oh, their real names. Yeah. Eric Lucero is the one that I call Officer Amnesia, because he didn't remember anything. Everything was I do not recall. But then it turns out he no longer works for the NYPD. He 3 months ago started working for Suffolk County, which is in Long Island, which is a whole other jurisdiction.
All right,
so
right.
He didn't have any skin in the game at that point. He didn't have no job to lose. He didn't have no demotion to a meter maid to worry about. So he just didn't know anything. He didn't know anything. He didn't notice anything. You know, it was just a bunch of nonsense. The other officer, the sergeant, the one that made the call to arrest Jonathan, is Brian Hansen. He's a 21-year vet. So Lucero, I don't think he said how long he's been a cop. He just said he relocated to the other county, so I guess it didn't even matter at that point.
Right.
But Brian Hansen is a 21-year vet. He spent 18 years as a patrol officer in Midtown. He just became a sergeant in July of 2021. He's a supervisor over the officers out on the street that respond to 911 calls. He's had 100 arrests, 15 to 20 domestic violence. They showed the body cam footage again.
So he's domestic violence trained then, right? No, wait, no.
The other guy was that other cop.
Lucero.
No, the first cop. The one from yesterday. Was it yesterday? What's his name? Hold on.
Is it in your other notes?
No, it's in this one. Is actually on my phone notes.
Okay. While you're looking that up, we are 2 hours into the stream, 2 hours 10 minutes, and thank you so much for rocking with us and for staying, enjoying this. Clearly, you are. We are currently 250 peak viewers. So again, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to like this video. We're going to go right back to you. So that was Officer Swain. That was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday. That was Officer Swain. Right. Yeah.
All right. So let's, because I did see a bit of reports about this, but I only heard that he didn't see injuries on her, something like that. No,
the sergeant?
No, Officer Swain, like the person who was wearing the body.
He said he noticed injuries after he was made aware of them, but like it wasn't like right out the gate. Oh, this and this is wrong. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
All of them pretty much said the same thing, that they didn't notice anything out right away, and then eventually they came to understand that she had this in the finger.
Right. So who gave the most poignant information?
None of them.
So wait.
None of them. That's why I said the cops today was a complete and total waste of time. Neither the sergeant nor Lucero said anything to help the prosecution.
Okay, but
they answered the questions, but they didn't say anything that would say, "Oh shoot, maybe." Because the thing is, they showed each of their body cam videos, so there really was nothing that they could say because it's right there on camera. The only thing that stood out to me with the sergeant was that he claims that he looked around for pills to indicate that she actually tried to unalive herself. He did not go in the medicine cabinet. He did not do like crime scene, like you should if you think that something, evidence collection, not crime scene, evidence collection. He didn't do any of that. He just checked the countertop on the bathroom. He checked the nightstand and went about his business. He said he saw some blood on the sheet, the blanket at the top of where your ear would be. He did not observe any vomit. He said he did not specifically look for blood elsewhere in the home.
Right.
He did admit that he indicated to Officer Swain when he grabbed his own neck to get Swain to ask additional questions. Like, what are you grabbing your neck for? Just tell him to ask additional questions. he said he authorized Jonathan's arrest after making Swain ask more questions. Basically, after getting Swain to get her to say she got strangled, then he ordered Jonathan's arrest.
Right. Okay. Right. Let
Mhm.
me. There is something that I saw today. Let me try and get it up. And I tweeted it earlier. And we're gonna go into the 911 call. But so flipping X. Let me try and get it up. Oh wait. No, I'm doing this wrong. Bear with me, chat. I think this was it. No, that's not it. Okay, so it was who said he went. This was posted by a journalist. Jabbari said that she was struck in the head several times and the defendant had grabbed her by the throat. Who made that statement?
Jabbari made the statement too. Let me see, because I actually wrote that same thing down. Didn't I post that?
I don't know actually.
Hold
Let
on,
me
let me
let me
see.
go to your profile. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, because she did. Hold on.
Was it Ben Totty?
Good question. Let me see, because he was kind of useless too. Let me see.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Let's see this,
For those that don't know, Ben Totti is Grace Jabbari's manager. Is that right?
something like that. Manager slash friend. He said he's
Right.
been her manager, agent-ish for 8 years. And then 4 of those 8, they've been friends. He's also friends with her friend Holly, because they're all in the same industry.
I will say this: out of all the reporters, I do like one reporter, and that report goes by a name of um uh, Ross. I forget his name. Russell, the guy from Courthouse News, and Victoria Bikimpis. Those are the
Yeah,
only two.
I
Those
see
are the
her.
only
I
two.
see
Like,
her every day. I don't remember who Russell is though. I
yeah.
have.
I can't remember. I'm really bad with names. Jonathan Russell or something like that. I forgot his name. Chat, if you can help me out here, it'd be great. If you guys know who I'm referring to, but he's on Courthouse News. You know what? Like, let me see if I can Google it quickly. But yeah, so Russell, Josh Russell. My bad. Yeah, his name is Josh Russell. So do those two reporters I do find to be reliable. If you were to get, thank you so much, Jules. Thank you. If you were to get any updates, I would recommend Dani, definitely Dani, but you can also get for uh a more bird's eye or full view. You can also get it from just Russell or um Victoria Bikimpis,
Yes,
or whatever. But yeah, back to you. Any
she did say that, and I'm trying to find it because I could have swore that I might have tweeted it and I didn't put it in my longer summary, but she did say that. Grace said that, but I'm trying to remember who she said it to.
was
That's
it
what.
played in like a video when you saw it? Was it playing like a video or was it audio body cam?
No, it. I'm trying to think. Who did she say
So
that?
was it testimony then?
Well, it wasn't testimony out of her mouth. It was out of. It was. I feel like it was part of those medical records. So let me see.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was. That's accurate though. That what you said they said about her getting hit in the head several times, and I'm so annoyed that I can't use my devices because when I tell you this looks like hieroglyphics, anytime I can't read my own handwriting, that's a problem. I'm like, yeah, because I actually wrote that down word for word. I just don't remember where I wrote it, but that is accurate information.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't remember where I wrote it. It'll probably pop up somewhere in here.
Oh, they put
Oh,
in
here it is.
Okay,
No,
perfect.
no, wait, I'm wrong. Hold
Oh
on.
no, okay, not
Nah,
so perfect.
I had circled it, but it was something else. I had circled where she was doing a lot with her right hand that you could see on the body cam video that indicate, she was looking for her cell phone, she was texting people, she was digging in her purse, she was doing a lot of stuff with that right hand, smiling and laughing on the elevator. Let me see what happened to her. Yeah, I'm trying to. That's accurate. That is definitely accurate. Ask the next question because
No, you're okay.
I don't know how to find it, but
So it was the officer's testimony. What else? What more stuck out to you? From the officer's testimony.
nothing other than the fact that he went with her to the to Bellevue. And like I said, that he
Did they testify to any communications with the doctor or anything like that, or was that would that
no,
be say no, no, no?
mm-mm,
So it was
no,
just okay. It was just
mm-mm.
okay. Fair enough. Wow. Thank you so much. Dios mio. Thank you so much for your $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate this support. She says
Oh well,
you
he
guys
did.
are awesome.
He did say that. I mean, which is neither here nor there, but it does emphasize the fact that he did not have to make an arrest. They filed a domestic incident report, but it does not necessarily mean that a crime was committed.
Oh.
It's usually referred to a detective, um, and that wasn't the sergeant that said that. That was uh, officer omission, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, officer omission. Yeah, he said that it's usually referred to a detective if they want to pursue something further. And the first page and a half was his writing, and then she finished. She put her own narrative to it.
I'm guessing officer omission would be Officer Swain
Oh,
or
not officer omission. I'm sorry, officer amnesia. I'm running. I'm
amnesia. Okay,
Yeah, the
officer.
guy that can't remember nothing. I do not recall. That guy said that a
All
domestic
right.
incident report does not necessarily mean a crime was committed. It's just something that you gotta, report on and then let the detectives do what they do. But the sergeant decided he wanted to, take it to the next level because they convinced her that she got choked when she didn't. I do not know where I wrote that, but I swear if I find it, I will tweet it. But that was accurate though. That she said she got hit in the head several times. Um, and what was the other thing that they said?
No, that was the only thing that I really wanted to really try and like establish. Because that I wanted to know where it came from, and I wanted to know who made the testimony on.
No,
Uh,
it was definitely one of the officers that, but I'm trying to remember which one. I'm looking for it.
which one probably doesn't really matter too much. I want to know the context around it and like the questions that was being asked to solicit it, because if you remember, they dropped the strangulation charge,
Mm-hmm.
and she says right here he strangled me. That
Right.
let me read it out one more time. So let me try and share my screen so that you guys can actually see it. uh um, right. So I'll share this tab. Okay. I think let me zoom in a little bit more. Uh, yeah, she made this tweet saying he went over to talk with her, plus other officers in the closet. Jabbari said that she was struck in the head several times, and the defendant had grabbed her by the throat.
And then
So
that's exactly what was said. I just don't remember which officer said it, but that was today. That was said today during one of the two of them testimony. I feel like it was the sergeant because Officer Amnesia didn't know nothing. He couldn't remember nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, so I don't think it was him. It had to have been the sergeant, but I'm trying because I wrote it down word for word, and I'm
right.
just trying to find it because, like I said, I can't even understand my own handwriting.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Um,
So did he was there any questions in regards to why the strangulation charge was dropped by him, or why they put down that she was being strangled?
Well, they never said why they put it down, but last week she testified that she personally contacted the DA and told them to drop it because she did not know where that came from.
See,
she didn't know where strangulation came from.
See, this is very, very interesting because if you cast your mind back to the Texas, back in March 27, I remember this like it was yesterday when this text dropped. I'm gonna try and find it. No, that's the one. All right. So if you cast your mind back to when this text was sent. I remember people were literally telling me that this was Stockholm syndrome, and she was saying, "Oh no, he didn't choke me," etc. But obviously, evidence has come out of this case has proven that this did not actually happen. Let me get it. Should be clearer on this tab actually. Let me zoom in. I'm not sure if you can see it. All right, so it says they just called again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my best interest on any charges being placed. I read the paper that they gave about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told about this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team, and there's nothing to worry about. Yada yada yada. Goes on to say all of those things. Now, this is the key part because they said, "Oh, she's protecting him," but it turned out
she testified that she told them to drop it.
Yeah, she testified to her to drop it, but she is also coming out here and testified by the police officers that she was the one that told them, which makes no sense. Why would you tell them?
When she was on direct that she said that.
Yeah. So, but out of court, because obviously she never testified to this part, but out of court, it was the narrative was, well, it was pretty clear that she clearly told the police. It was pretty clear that she clearly told the police that he strangled me, blah, 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 right? Now it's confirmed that she did say that, but people were defending and saying, no, she never said that. She never put that in a complaint. The police did that because of racial prejudice, blah, 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 blah. Now we get the full picture. So who, this is insane. This case is insane. So who was, after the officers, who was next to testify? So
after
I'm guessing the officers went first.
It was that friend, that manager guy, that Totty dude.
Okay.
But yeah, I have it right here. It says that which officer was this? This was Sergeant Brian Hansen.
Right.
He testified that he responded to a couple of hundred domestic violence calls.
Right.
And it says right here that she was struck in the head several times and that the defendant grabbed her throat. So exactly what, that's exactly what it's right here.
So wait. He testified that Grace told him, that Jonathan did strangle her.
I don't think I don't know. I think me and Victoria probably missed where this came from. I don't know if he's saying she told him or that one of those officers told him that. One of the officers that were there before, because he got there after everybody.
Right. Okay, yeah, so
but it definitely was said. It was said by the choker.
But we just don't know who. Okay,
yeah. And then the next witness after him, we went to lunch and then came to Josie. Not the guy. What's his name? Ben Totty. He's British. Like I said, he's her, I guess, agent, manager, or whatever, / friend. He took a taxi to Bellevue. He was using a lot of creative license in speculating about how she feel. He never once testified that she specifically told him she felt that way. he was just speculating, and the judge just let him just run off. He said her demeanor was one that I've not recognized before. She had a much smaller personality. Grace was half the person that I've seen before. I'm like, okay, drama queen, like, relax. Like, what does that even mean? Like, was she Peter Pan small? I mean, what do you call it? Tinkerbell small or what?
Right.
He said she showed him an injury behind her ear and her finger. Grace was clearly traumatized. All of this stuff was being objected to, but he just let him go like a runaway train.
Right.
He said he went with Grace to see the psychiatrist. She fluctuated from being exhausted to concerned to frustrated. He saw her retell the story 3 different times, I guess, to whoever was asking at the hospital.
Right.
He said Jabbari never discussed suicide. He says they left the hospital to get food at the Soho house. He called, they were trying to figure out a good time to go back to Grace's apartment. I'm like, slow down. That ain't her apartment. But he said we were trying to figure out a good time to get back to Grace's apartment. He called Jonathan's manager, Priya, to see if it was safe to go inside. Now, she knew damn well that boy was in jail, like safe. She became even more visibly shaken when they got to the apartment. This dude was a bull in a china shop with his theatrics. I just was like, really? She obviously couldn't lift anything, so he packed all her stuff for her. They discussed what Grace felt. He also said, because remember, Holly said the same thing, and she said it took her 5 hours and she was unsuccessful. Right. He also tried to persuade her to go to a hotel or to speak to her sister. She refused to go. These were his words. Wanted to sleep. So that was the end of direct. On cross, he confirmed, because they just go right into who paid who. Right. On cross, he confirmed that the DA paid for his flight here, because I guess he must have went back to London at some point.
Right.
I mean, recently, because he just got back. He said that Grace had mentioned that she had been in an accident on a bed, and right. And I don't know what that means, because remember they found her naked from the waist down. Did she pee the bed? I don't know, other than vomiting, because he said that she mentioned she had an accident on the bed. And at last check, 30-year-old people don't refer to vomiting as an accident. Maybe urinating, but not vomiting. If you vomited, right?
Right.
He said he did not. Okay, so they were real quick with him because they realized he was being theatrical. So they only asked him 3 questions. If the DA paid for his flight here, he testified that Grace had mentioned she had an accident on a bed. And then they were like, do you know if Grace actually left the apartment? And he says no. But he had testified, earlier that he thought that he had convinced her to go to her sister's house. But he does not even know if she even went, and we know she didn't. And then after lunch came Josie. After about an hour delay, because we got back at 2:15 and she didn't really get on the stand till about 3:15. And then we finished at 4:30. So I already told you what she said. It was just a bunch of psychobabble. And then the 1 or 2 questions that the defense was able to ask before the judge was like, let's just stop it here. He kind of called her out. He was like, like I said, he was like, have you ever worked with people who are traumatized by false accusations? He was like, does Darbo apply? Now, this was objected to and sustained, but the judge was very hesitant to sustain the objection because he's paused for a minute. He thought about it, but the question was, because, they talk a lot about Darvo, D-A-R-V-O. And the judge, Zuckerman was like, does Darvo apply when the purported victim attacks the purported abuser? Objection. The judge thought about it for a minute because he probably should have let it go, but he sustained the objection. But he basically asked her, like, you're sitting here, pro victim, pro alleged victim, but what about if the shoe's on the other foot? Have you ever considered that? That's basically the way he was questioning her.
And who was this question to?
This was from the defense to that social worker lady.
Oh, you mean the expert witness?
Yeah, the expert.
Oh,
the
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm guessing we're done with Ben Totty then. Ben Totty is.
Ben Totty was in and out. He was in and out. He just basically testified to what he knew when he took her when he met her at the hospital and then took her back home and helped her pack.
Right. Okay. So
that's really all he had.
Okay. So this is Jolie. What's I forgot her name. Jolie something. Corelli, something like that. Spinelli.
Jolie Torielli. Josie. Josie. Torielli. Torielli.
Okay, Torielli.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happened with Jolie?
That was it. I told you that was a snooze fest. Yeah, she was a snooze fest. One of the jurors fell asleep. The other ones were just completely tuned out. Most of us was sitting there hearing crickets because I couldn't even. I just was like, oh, okay. I didn't know I was back in freshman year of college in Psychology 101, bored out of my mind. He asked her if she was biased, but of course she wanted to play semantics. I'm not biased. I just have a different worldview based on working with people.
Yeah, let's scrutinize that a little bit. Did the defense or prosecution, I don't know who was doing it, did they go into what she meant by worldview?
It's bias. She basically defined what bias is. She didn't want to say she was biased because that's like a 4-letter word. I'm biased, so call it what you want. But she wants to call it she called it a different worldview based on working with people who have experienced trauma. That's bias then, because you're viewing things through the lens of people who have experienced trauma. So you're going to automatically defend people who. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're never going to consider that maybe they're the ones that's victimizing people and not the other way around. And that's kind of the line of questioning that Zuckerman was getting into before he had to stop. But after he stopped, the judge gave the instruction again to the jury that it cannot be anything that this expert witness says cannot be used as proof that a crime occurred, just to analyze Jabbari's behavior. So nothing that she says can be used to say, oh, well, then Jonathan did that, because it's only to explain why Grace behaved the way she did, even though she claimed she was a victim of abuse.
Fair enough.
So
who? Go on.
So that's a good thing, because he hadn't given that instruction earlier. He waited till after the testimony ended, or stopped for that moment to say that. So that's a good thing, because even though she was speaking in a lot of general terms because she couldn't say anything specific, the jury can't, even if it was something that sounded familiar or it applied, like the suicide thing, they can't even use it because they're only using her testimony to explain Jabbari's behavior, not Jonathan's. So that's why I'm like, why is she even there? Like, y'all need a refund of that $200 an hour. You know what I mean? Right. You look tired. I know you are, because what is it, like 2 a.m. over there?
It's 3 a.m., but it's all right. Yeah. No. I'm just processing everything while I still have the power to do so.
Yeah, looking glazed over eyes. I keep forgetting how late it is. That's why we tried to start earlier, but you still held me hostage. What happened to 45 minutes?
I'm so sorry, man. we'll definitely start earlier, but right. Okay, so I'm gonna. We don't have much of the stream left because I've got to let you get back to your to your world. But after this expert testified, who else testified?
That's it. She was
That
it
was
for
it.
the day.
That was it for the day.
So
Okay.
the plan,
So,
I guess, is to have her come back tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning.
oh yeah.
Zuckerman said he only had 10 minutes left, but the judge wouldn't let him take the 10 minutes. I think because he realized that he was getting in her ass like he always gets in them. And she was getting, like I said, she was getting really snippy and nasty. So I guess they wanted to give her a break before she destroyed the case for the prosecution with her attitude.
I mean, it's already. I'll
Huh?
be honest. I'll be honest. Looking at the evidence, it's probably it's already.
It's already done. At this point, they're
Yeah,
just grasping at straws and they're trying to make good on all these
yeah.
witnesses they claim they had. Um,
Unless they have some kind of Hail Mary videotape that drops that shows Jonathan actually strangling her, then case is
They
done,
have
right?
nothing. They're done. I think they're going to rest their case tomorrow. After that, after the defense finishes with her, they're going to rest their case. The defense alluded to having a couple more witnesses, but I feel like they're going to be those little drive-through witnesses that are like 10 minutes apiece. And then I feel like they're going to get their closing summaries done. I pray.
So
I
Jonathan is
pray they
definitely
do.
so Jonathan is definitely not going to testify then, is he?
No, he shouldn't though. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. What is he going to say? I mean, what can he possibly say at this point that hasn't already been said?
Yeah,
The doubt, like I said, if they were looking for a day for doubt, that was yesterday.
yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah,
Even though
with
there
the
was doubt before that, yesterday solidified it. Yesterday was back-to-back confirmation of the least expected people confirming that it was her or that she was the
oh
problem.
no. Oh, that's what you were talking about in the chat. Oh, my mistake. Before we do close out, I just want to say if you've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I just found out just now on my Twitter feed. But if you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I've seen it. That's with Terry Crews, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know the main guy, the gay black guy, the Captain Hope.
The
Not sure
one
if
with the
you,
glasses, the older guy,
yeah,
Andre
Andre, bro. Yeah,
somebody. Yeah.
Andre is unfortunately he died today.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
He
Uh
wasn't that old. Wasn't he like early 60s?
no, he's not at all. I
I
don't
think
even
he
know
could have
how
even
he's.
been my mom's age. I don't even think he was that old.
Yeah, he's 1962.
Yeah,
He's
so he's a
19.
little younger than my mom. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Uh,
Andre, yeah. Damn.
I don't know how he died, but uh, I just want to point that out. Rest in peace, man.
Yeah,
But
that's horrible.
let me just read out the last couple of chats from here that I think are great. I thank you everyone for super chatting. Thank you, Danielle, first and foremost, for joining me today and giving such a thorough breakdown. I really do appreciate you. I'm pretty sure the chat appreciates you as well.
Oh, thank you guys for staying with us because not for nothing, the way my attention span is set up, I'd have been going 30 minutes in. Y'all been hanging tough with us. 3 hours on
Oh,
Saturday, 2 hours today.
um, Kat says I want to hear from the Andy man. So, could he be
Not for
called?
nothing. I thought that friend was the handyman until I heard the British accent. I was like, oh, I guess not. Because when he got up on the stand, I was like, who is this Dusty? And then
Right,
I was like, oh, that's not the handyman.
right.
Yeah. That me
Joe's not.
too. But at this point, I'm tired. I'm like, enough is enough. Because that what could the handyman say? Jonathan came to me saying his bedroom door was locked. I unlocked it and I bounced. Like what?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, if he saw when Grace came in the night, he probably could have testified to that or
But
something.
they got
I
the
don't.
surveillance. They showed her sitting on the side on a bench on the side of the
Oh,
elevator bank,
okay. So
waiting
let's
for her
close out on
keys.
this. Let's close out on this. Yeah. Could you please describe whatever CCTV says surveillance, whatever was played to the jury from day one to now? Could you please describe it for us?
And for as far as what? Everything or just her coming home?
Key key moments from each media, if that
So for
makes
the
sense.
stuff that you didn't see. So like
Yeah.
we saw when Jonathan jumped out the car tried to push her back in the car. And when I say push, I'm using that word flippantly, just for ease of comprehension. He first sat her down in the seat. She popped back up. He pushes her back down in the seat. She pops back up. He pushes her back down, basically trying to keep her from chasing him. She pops back up. He runs. She runs after him. You guys are not going to see that unless it gets published after the trial. There's surveillance of, like I said, when she ran into the people that she met. You see off in the distance, you can see the Escalade parked with the flashes on, and they're all in different vicinities around the Escalade. There is surveillance of obviously her in the club doing everything that you saw in the media, and then there's other surveillance. There's surveillance of them in the restaurant when she snuck an extra drink when Jonathan went to the bathroom. There's surveillance of her coming home that night. She comes through the lobby. You see her sitting. There's like a bench on the side of the elevator bank. She sits on a bench. She's fumbling through her bag looking for her keys. She gets up, goes in the elevator. I don't know what all was showed on Thursday, but I think that Kat already discussed what Jimmy said happened on those. But a lot of it was the same videos being played over and over. There's the surveillance when she is escorted out of Lucy's with Chloe, and she kind of stumbles into the wall. There's surveillance of I'm trying to think, what else did I see? Obviously, all the body worn cam videos from each officer that testified. A lot of the same stuff, same angles, same video. What other videos did we see that you guys didn't see? Obviously, we heard the audio of him telling her that she needs to get her shit together and act more professional, like, Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King. What other video? I feel like that's all I've seen.
Okay.
Like I said, Kat can probably tell more as far as what Jimmy said that he saw, because I feel like there was a couple of extra videos that were played in addition to the same ones over and over again. Obviously, the video of the chase. There's, frame by frame, the several blocks that she chased him over there, in that same area in Chinatown.
And she characterized this as walking, guys.
As walking or following him. It wasn't a chase, even though she was running. He was running full speed, and she was right behind him until she lost him. Ridiculousness. I think that was it. That was it that I remember.
Okay, so I'm going to let me just end on this then, because I'm going to play that CCTV again for those that may not have seen it. And this was in regards to Grace before Jonathan has seen her for the second time. I believe it was the second time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm just gonna go finish it off. This was when she met Chloe and Max.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Let me just go straight to it. Zoom. Okay, there we go. Please work. Don't do this to me. Okay. X, go and give it to you. Go and give it to you. I don't know why I called it X, but I'm pretty sure that's why. I'm pretty sure. You probably listened to that song. I was like, oh. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Encore, for your $4.99 super chat. I really do appreciate you for that generous donation. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone that has super chatted. Yeah, I appreciate all of you. Thank you. That's great.
No way.
And then the text message and think I was playing around.
You can call him. Do you want to call him? It makes you feel better. I know who it is. Why you do? Like the guy.
I think he's
he's the guy that likes to.
I never live
Thanks, you okay?
No, basically, I just had to run out of the car. I'm saying it's like a lie.
No.
No.
Well, what's funny is,
My boyfriend,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can I get you in the car? I don't want to leave you because we're about to get in our car. Can I help you get a car?
Then my parents ran out of the taxi.
Okay.
So I know where I live. So I live in
Alright.
7th Avenue, 252.
Okay, let's get you. Let's get
I
you.
just ran out of the taxi, so I started texting my mum saying, I'm so busy kissing you. And I was like, I can't.
Alright, fair game, girlie.
Ran off.
Fast forward a little bit. Look at our hands, by the way.
No, hold on. I'm gonna hail you a cab, and we're gonna have anything to pay with it.
No.
Wait, Chloe, I never walk. I have a good job.
Someone who's got a lot of money.
I have $50.
I saw. I'm gonna pretend that I
You guys are the best store man in the world.
No, I'm
honestly like,
What is
I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. Me too, because you should have listened.
We're not going to get it. I don't have Kevin's box. I have Brett.
Again, look at how she's controlling everything.
You're $30 if I'm ever homeless in like 5 years. You'll be
I remember when Kat pointed this out when she used to have long hair. She pointed out that
Hey, we'll take her off. We'll take her off.
We got it. I have a card here too. Should I cancel it?
No,
No, I'm not good. You guys, I'm so sorry. No,
I'm sorry.
I actually know what to do.
No, I simply will not.
You're fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna get where you need to be.
He ran, and then it was like
If he-
away, so he was not.
Okay, then you have to put that on him.
she's complaining about him running away. Oh, that's him right now.
Where's our bag? Your bag's in
Yo.
the car.
Bro.
I know you need to stop. On your
She actually laughed. They showed that twice, and both times she laughed.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna. Oops. Oh, got it. I'm not gonna lie. His reaction is, "I'm done with you. Like, I'm done with you. I'm not gonna talk
He walked
to you."
past her like, who that? Who you?
Yeah, exactly. Just walked straight past her, and she was like, it's, that whole saying, "A woman scorned." Oh, flipping heck. What is
Hell
it?
have no fury.
Hell have no fury than it will. Oh my gosh. And I can't believe, because that's what this case looks like based on everything that's come out from start day one. It just looks like, damn, she was finished. And for her to leverage it to this level is insane.
She had a lot of near misses, and then he finally shut it down, and it was like, oh, really? Okay, watch this.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this? Like, you'll be back in court tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning. I'm hoping that, like I said, that we get to our closing arguments tomorrow. I feel like they can. The way things have been going since yesterday, I feel like they're getting shorter with the witnesses. Like, instead of it being 3 hours per witness, now it's down to like 30, 45 minutes tops. So I think if we keep up this momentum, they could easily be at closing arguments by after lunch. Now, I would hope that the closing arguments aren't 2 hours apiece, because I mean, they could probably knock each one out in 30 minutes and then, send the jury out. And like I said, once they send the jury out, they have to stay until they reach a verdict, unless it gets to the point where it's like, getting ready to get to be, too late, then they'll send them home. But if they can get that jury out at 3 o'clock, very possible they can have a verdict by 7, 8 o'clock. And everybody can go home. Because this is not, one of those 2 or 3 day deliberation type situations. It shouldn't have never even gone to trial. So if it takes them more than a couple of hours to deliberate, then the ones that I think ain't all there are probably
the Sims fighting about who to crush on.
And the sleeper. And the sleeper, the one that keeps falling asleep every day at about 3:30. That's the only thing that I could see hanging them up, is if she fall asleep and the simp start simping over the ADA and taking their side for everything with his comb over. But so we'll see what happens.
Yes, and I hope to have you back for the verdict, and also tomorrow. Hopefully we'll sort that out, and then we'll do another stream and find out what went on. Hopefully that will be a lot shorter, because this was a massive recap. So but yeah, I really do appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. And thank you,
pleasure. Like I said, my only objective here at this point is to get the word out that this man did not do that this evidence is trash, that this whole prosecution is trash, and they need to just let him be and let him live his best life, and stop trying to, take down the good ones that we do have. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That man has a child. And the crazy thing is, I haven't even thought about it before today. And I'm like, that child is old enough to know what's going on. And it's just the idea. I'm a mother of daughters, you know what I mean? And I take that job extremely seriously, and being a parent of girls is a blessing like no other. And I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine what that child must be having to think about and go through, and the things that she might be battling with. Because if memory serves, I think she might be biracial, and then just being torn, you know what I mean, between those two worlds, because the same person that looks like your mom or similar to your mom is trying to take your dad down. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you reconcile that? I don't know, man. I just pray for them. That's all I can do. Pray and show up. I can't pay that defense fund, so I can't contribute to the defense fund, Jay. But I can pray and I can show up. That's all I can do, and maybe offer a little bit of professional, input. But that's about it. All that I can do is free.
And show up you did. Thank you so much. You brought the heat. You brought the heat. That's for you.
Thanks. You gotta go your behind to sleep.
I don't even know if I can sleep now. I've gone past 3 o'clock. Once I go past 3 o'clock, I'm probably gonna be awake till God knows when. But anyway, no, thank you so much for keeping me company today, and thank you so much, chat, for engaging with the stream. I really appreciate every single one of you. I'm gonna close out on this, and I wish you all to have a great evening. Don't forget to like and subscribe because you've made it this far. You've made it to the end. Like, why fumble over the football? I don't know. I don't know what to say here, but just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, don't forget to share this with your friends and Bigfoot. I don't know, anyone that's out there. Let them know that this stream exists. There's a lot of information that can be gathered from this stream. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a great evening or great day. Take care of yourself, and thank you once again, Dani, for joining us.
My pleasure. You have a good morning.
Oh Lord, I'm looking forward. I'm gonna fall asleep after this.
You gotta get some sleep. Sleep is important. Jonathan Major says sleep hygiene is very important. I didn't even know that was what it's called, but now I say that every time somebody questions how much I take naps. I said sleep hygiene. Good night.
All right. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.